afternoon. Good afternoon. You are listening to The Source, 96.1 FM, 900 AM, streaming live on WURDradio.com. Follow us on all social media platforms at onWURD. 215-634-8065 is the number to call in. If you are hearing the sound of my voice, I am Andrea Lawful Sanders, and it does not bode well that I'm already losing my voice after 2 seconds of being on the air, and I have a whole other 2 hours and 55 minutes to go. Lots and lots happening. I want to thank you for joining me. You already know that we're going to be discussing the shooting of that man in West Philadelphia. Thank you, Mike. Mike is laughing at me already, you know, because I come into the studios and here is my process. I wipe down the handles of the chair that I sit in. I then spray Lysol all over it. Then I wipe down the countertops and I spray Lysol over that. Then I clean off the microphone, and then I put my 2 separate microphone covers on, and then I wear my own headphones. Mother does not come to play ever, right? COVID is real in these Wakandan streets, and for those of you who think it's much ado about nothing, I have a call already. Praise Black Jesus. It's going to be a long day. So I get home yesterday. I left the studios at around 4 o'clock, and I had just gotten in the house when I got a text message from Dr. Ayla Stanford. And I opened the text without, because, you know, Dr. Ayla and I always just talk about, you know, COVID testing, what's going on out here, that kind of thing. So I opened up the link that she sent me without realizing that it was the shooting, and it was on Instagram. And when I got finished watching that thing, I was literally on the floor, right? And I sat down and I said to myself, I cannot allow myself right now, after watching that mother wail the way that she was wailing. I immediately thought of my own 2 sons. I thought of my husband. I thought of my father. I thought of my cousins, my uncles, everybody else, and what it is like to be a black person living in America. You see, and here's the thing. Here's what separates mother from everybody else that hosts this show. I have been doing this implicit bias work for decades. And one of the things that I know for certain is that there are other ways to stop someone when they're having a mental health crisis. In fact, when I got on my bicycle this morning to ride with my friend, who happens to be a white woman, she looked at me and she said, I got to tell you, I have friends, many friends, whose children are on drugs, who call the police all the time, and not one of them have died. Not one of them have died. The police come in, she said, and their behavior is erratic. They're doing all kinds of crazy things. But for some reason, they're able to calm them down and get them to a place where they don't shoot them. You don't hear of one white child dying as a direct result of being called for a mental health crisis. However, in these United States of America, all of a sudden, when it's one of us, it becomes an issue, right? And so because I have been doing this work for a long time, I can tell you, there were many other ways to make this thing work versus shooting someone 15 times in front of his mother. In front of his mother. They could have, my friend Denise was like, look, we need to figure out how to have tranquilizers, you know, something that won't kill you but will tranquilize you and make you go to sleep until they can get you under control. They could have utilized some of the neighbors to help calm him down, because if he lives in the community, his mother could have, when the cops are chasing him, the mother and some of the neighbors could have helped to calm him down so that they could find a way to 302 him. There was just so many other ways that this could have turned out. But I also want you all to not get distracted. And when I say not get distracted, here's what I mean by that. We knew something like this was coming, right? We didn't know how. And what has ended up happening, I went straight to bed. I didn't even watch the news. I had my soup and went and lay down because I could not deal, right? Woke up at 9:30, 10 o'clock because another one of my media friends was calling me. See, because for those of us who are in the media, we also have to deal with this. We have to absorb this trauma, figure out how we're going to manage through it, and then come on the air and talk to all of you about what we know to be true or not to be true. And so I'm going to do a brief reading of the article. Walter Wallace Jr. is his name, so we'll now add him to the list of Breonna Browns and everybody else, which is something that we could not have foreseen when this mother called to ask if her son could get some help. This is written by the Inquirer, Ellie Rushin, Anna Orso, Robert Moran, and Samantha Melamed. Police officers fatally shot a 27-year-old black man armed with a knife during a confrontation Monday afternoon in West Philadelphia, an incident that quickly raised tensions in the neighborhood and sparked a standoff that lasted deep into the night. I heard police cars were burnt. I heard there was some looting going on, some save-a-lots. I heard folks were fighting the cops. In fact, the video that I saw, the mother threw something at the police officer like, "Why did you shoot my child? I called you for help. Why did you shoot my child?" And so for me, you know, it goes beyond just having the conversation around, you know, right or wrong. It's where is your empathy? Where's the humanity in you that you see that this person is having a mental health crisis? And it just it devolved into something that now the entire country is talking about. Y'all have the president, you know, bad things happen in Philadelphia. And we have got to find a better way to deal with this. It says, Monday into early Tuesday, police struggled to respond to vandalism and looting along the commercial corridor of 52nd Street, an area that was the scene of clashes between police and protesters earlier this summer. At least one police vehicle was set on fire Monday night and destroyed. By morning, an officer was hospitalized in stable condition with a broken leg after being struck by a pickup truck, police said. And my media friends and I and the folks that I talk to all the time said, black folks don't drive pickup trucks like that. You take with that what you need, okay? Because you have to remember that there are people, whenever there's all sorts of crazy things going on in the city, there are those who will show up and pretend to be a part of the struggle, but they're doing things to only make it worse for us. So we have to pay attention to those who do not belong in our community. Authorities detained 10 people overnight near 55th and Pine Street, and those people were set to be released pending possible charges of assaulting police or rioting. Police said officers arrested about 20 people in relation to looting at various stores in West Philadelphia, University City, Overbrook Park, and Center City, some of which were not near the protest. And so before anybody call me and say, why are they looting in places that was not near the protest, please understand when people are frustrated. For me, I went to sleep. For me, I climbed under the covers, but folks are tired. They're tired, y'all. They're exhausted. They're exhausted of hearing the excuses, exhausted about, well, but, should, coulda. No. There are plenty of people that have had mental health crises that were not black or brown that somehow managed to be taken in quietly or taken in, subdued and taken in alive. We need our children to be alive. And then you ask, why don't black folks call the police? Right? Because these are some of the things. Now, here's a mother who will never be able to shut her eyes again without seeing her son being shot 15 times by scared police officers. And if they didn't have tasers, and if they didn't have pepper spray, all those cops we saw coming, you mean to tell me nobody could have figured out a way to contain him until they were able to taser him instead of killing him? So I have got to see what's getting ready to come out of this, because something has got to give. And on top of all of that, I couldn't even get excited about it when it came, but I have to tell you all, because Governor Wolf is going to make it public knowledge soon. Someone from the governor's office called me about 3 weeks ago and said that I was recommended to sit on his brand new Police Reform Commission, State Police Commission Advisory. I am. And they appointed me. So my letter came. Yeah, Mike said, oh, Lord, they know not what they did. But they do, because the people that recommended me understood and had been working with me for 30-something years. So they knew and knew what I was doing in the community and working with police officers around the country. So they knew it was not a place where I would go and sit and be idle, and that there are conversations that we need to have based on the data and the knowledge that those of us who are going to sit on this commission will carry to the table. So I am looking forward to this, because I'm over wringing my hands, and I'm over talking about implicit bias training, because the training by itself does not help anyone if we don't fire people and hold them accountable and arrest them and put them in prison for willfully killing people and using their badges to do so. I don't have to get into the conversation with you about not all police officers, because we're intelligent enough to talk about this in a way where we can acknowledge the bad and still understand that there is good. So don't call over here talking about, not all police officers. And to the folks who sit behind their desks and their chairs and say things like, but you know, he had a knife. Your son, your nephew, your grandson have had knives. You've chased at police officers. We've seen them run into churches and do all sorts of things. We've seen them taking over the steps of Michigan, and nobody did anything about it. So do we have a separate set of laws for black people and a separate set of laws for everybody else? I just need to know. Jacob, good afternoon.
Afternoon, my sister. Now, look, you're going to get through this. Just when Tyrone called, you can't do no singing, stuff like that. And just, and keep your pressure down.
I am.
Because we going to get through this. Just like you, one of my younger co-workers, right, he sent me that video, before it hit the news, right? And when I watched it, I said, oh, my goodness. You know how it came over. I guess they put it out there on Instagram and whoever grabs it. But he sent it to me, and I watched it. And then we called. We had like a little conference call with some of the younger guys, and we were talking about that. But first of all, my prayers is for that mother.
Yes.
That the Creator comfort her, and because she gonna need it. Oh my God. I mean, just the things that we have to see in our community. This is affecting the whole city, my sister. Yep. I went to Progress Plaza Shopping Center this morning, and they were closing the gate saying, with signs on it, due to civil unrest. We are closed. Now, that affects all of, so, it hits close to home. I mean, this is our city. This is our, but here's what I would have liked to have seen. And we know, you just said, yes, there is a double system, and that's what we're marching and working. And for 400 years, we've been working to make this that woman that they with blind justice in the scales. Yes, we've been working to make that happen, and we can't stop now because for 400 years we've been running this race, and we see the finish line now. Yes, we can't sit down now. We got to keep on getting into good trouble. So. But here's what I'd like to have seen. If I was there, that mother needed help. One of y'all that knew that brother that was in the crowd. See, we love drama as a people. We love drama. We love that. Instead of some of y'all filming, put the damn camera down and go help that mother. If you had to cuss, if you knew him, you know the words to say to get his attention and get in between him and the cops, right? Because he might not gonna come at you because he know you. There you go. You could have helped talk him down. Not so much filming. Let one person film and go help that mother who was struggling to save her baby's life. So we getting there. And again, we can't let this slow us down. We can't take our focus off of voting. We just can't do crazy things. Sure, we're like a tinderbox waiting to explode because. Remember, we've been holding this stuff in for 400 years. So when I see the stuff that I see amongst us, wonder we just don't, the whole world don't explode. Yes. But so we're doing okay. We just got to take it as it comes, and we got to do the best we could do. But my thing is, again, if I would have been there, I would not, when I saw that mother, I would have got in there with her. Absolutely. I said the same thing to Jacob. I would have been running behind that mother to grab him by his foot to help him. Because there had to be somebody in the community that knew him well enough to say, yo, Wallace, they know what to do. He might have had to stuck me because I'm going to tell you, I'd have gave that mama help and I'd have hugged him. Yes. I would have, if I'd have been, look, I'll get a couple stitches. Yep. But, I just know myself. So that's what I'm saying. We got to start loving one, and we got to do what they ain't doing. Yes. And that's our hood. These are our children. Yep. And so we going to have to put our lives on the line sometime. And doggone it, stop being so scared of death. The Jamaicans say, everybody want to go to heaven, but don't nobody want to die. Come on. We say it all the time, all the time. Thank you, Brother Jacob. Thank you for calling in, okay? Thank you. Peace be unto you, too. All right. The time is 1:19 p.m. and the temperature is, what is the temperature, Mike? 61 degrees. Brought to you by the Beach Companies with 30 years of serving the community. Check out their website for the free Black Business Directory and their Community Resources Directory at beachcompanies.com. Again,
for the free Black Business Directory and their Community Resources Directory, please go to @beachcompanies.com. You are listening to The Source, 96.1 FM, 900 AM, streaming live on WURDradio.com. Follow us on all social media platforms @onWURD. 215-634-8065 is the number to call in. We will be right back after these messages.
This year has been unprecedented. From the COVID pandemic to nationwide protests addressing systemic racism and calling for criminal justice reform. For weeks, we've been reminding you to make your voice heard in this election, and now is the time to act. Voting is how we empower our communities, and this election day, we can make things happen for us instead of letting things happen to us. So use your power and make your plan to vote today. If you signed up to vote by mail, don't wait. Complete your ballot, put it in the small envelope and seal it. Then put it in a larger envelope and seal that too. Sign and date it. Then drop off your ballot at your county election office today. If you have not signed up to vote by mail, go to the polls on Tuesday, November 3rd. Make sure to confirm your polling location and don't forget to wear a mask. Polling places are open from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. on Election Day. To find your county election office or polling location, visit votespa.com. Take your power to the polls and vote. Paid for by Power Interfaith.
This year's been tough, but it's given me a lot of time to learn new skills through the internet.
I've been joining more classes during lockdown.
I'm doing an internship.
I taught myself how to play guitar.
So when people ask,
will I be able to learn online?
I feel like I'm ready.
Internet Essentials from Comcast has connected millions of families from low-income homes to the internet. So no matter what back to school looks like, students can be ready for anything. Learn more at comcast.com/Internet Essentials.
Joe Biden insulted millions of Black Americans.
If you have a problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump, then you ain't Black.
Worse, Biden wrote the mass incarceration laws that destroyed a generation of Black families. Listen to Biden's racist rhetoric.
We have no choice but to take them out of society. Away from my mother, your husband, our families. Lock the SOBs up.
Biden's policies were so harmful that Senator Cory Booker called him an architect of mass incarceration. Millions of Black lives devastated by Biden's policies.
Take a look at my record, man.
We did, and we've had enough. Joe Biden spent years hurting the Black community. He insulted us, jailed us. We must not elect him president.
I'm Donald Trump, candidate for president, and I approve this message.
Paid for by Donald J. Trump for President, Inc.
You're listening to The Source with Andrea Lawful Sanders on WURD Radio. Streaming live on WURDradio.com and the WURD Radio app.
Welcome back to The Source. I'm going to take a couple of calls, but I have one of my favorite people on the line, and I can't wait to talk to him. And he may be able to calm some of us down in this process. The Reverend Dr. Alan E. Waller. All right, Cliff from Connecticut, are you there?
Yes, thank you, Sister Sanders. Listen, I'll get right to the point, and this is related to the issue. I'm calling from Connecticut, and I got the same concern here in Connecticut. What is the official function of the NAACP in Philadelphia? Are they open? Are they functioning?
Cliff, if you could see Mother's face.
All right, okay, now, with that being said, whenever there's an issue, this organization is historically made to deal with issues like this. So now, when this organization is not even functioning itself, and this is the time in which they should be operating, and such as Connecticut, we have individuals that infighting, you'll call the cops on one another rather than being together, being organized to fight the issues that truly impact our community. What good are they? If they ain't no good and can't function, get the hell rid of them because they're useless. And those are the Negroes that are being more harm, causing more harm to our Black community than any other organization. I'm done. Thank you.
Well, all right, Cliff, drop the mic. All right, Cliff, thank you. So if there's anyone from the Philadelphia chapter of the NAACP listening and you'd like to respond to this and let us know what you're doing, he made a valid point. We have not seen you. We've not heard from you. And so we want to know, you may be doing something behind the scenes. We don't know. I'm not throwing stones. I'm asking questions. So if there's anybody from the Philadelphia NAACP that's listening to this show that can call and tell us exactly what you're doing, happy to talk to you. Greg from East Falls, line 3, are you there? The lines are lit up.
Yes, How you doing there?
I'm good, sir. I have a couple of minutes to finish up my calls because I got to talk to Pastor Waller.
I really have a lot to say because I'm a retired CO. I'm in law enforcement. I listened to Councilwoman Jamie Gaudier this morning.
Yes.
And the first thing she said, they need more training. Let me tell you something. It's nothing about training. We were trained well.
Yes.
CO, we went to academy, we got the same training. Stop making excuses for those cops. Those cops did not have to shoot him, and if they did shoot him, why? I don't understand that they teach us to shoot center mass.
Right.
But clearly you didn't have to shoot him there. You could have shot him in the leg.
Yeah.
That's what you had to do. You ever notice, and I'm asking people this, I don't want to hear no, whether you law enforcement, whether you want to support the cops or not, answer some factual questions that was to tell you what's going on. They don't even carry nightsticks, and they do have them.
Yes.
They're supposed to. You are taught by, there's a force continuum, it's called. 7 steps to address a situation like that. And the 7th one is the last one, which is killing somebody. They could have called, the first one is the show of strength, right, by having a lot more cops there. It's 6 other steps that they did not do. And when you ever notice the cops, they get out their cars. They don't carry sticks no more. So automatically, if a conversation come up, they're apt to pull their guns.
Yep.
There's a letter that I saw from John McNesby, and I despise that guy. I really do. He wrote a letter. I saw it online. It was shared online where he's asking for prayers. Some of the facetious stuff like this to his members, asking for prayers for that the cops, because the cops had to go through the traumatization of shooting him. Now, again, I don't want to hear no more about training. You get the best training, and you know that a lot of people may including the mental health. We know that. Stop with the games. I don't feel sorry, for those cops made a conscious decision, and they shot him more than one time. Last point, I remember, because I'm an investigator and I'm a civil rights advocate. I used to be the president of the Philadelphia chapter of the National Action Network, right? So, and Cliff made a good point because they should be out there too. But that's the whole, he's making a good point. But what happened is this: when they can't, I forgot my thought, but my point is, we got to stop making. It doesn't happen in their community. Oh, this is what I was going to say. Commissioner Ross, they shot a guy up by West Philly. I mean, a ridiculous amount of times, and they had the whole force there, so they didn't have to shoot him. And myself, Asa Khalif, and Chris Norris did a protest. And what came out of that, to the mayor, Ross said it was contagious police gunfire that made them not be able to stop. I've never heard anything more ridiculous than that.
So Greg, as you said, Chris Norris's name, I know exactly who you are. I was sitting in some of those meetings with you all. When I heard some of what Commissioner Ross said and how upset he got about stop and frisk and us wanting to make sure that it that it was unconstitutional. There's a lot going on there. Listen, I got to take Pastor Waller because he doesn't have all day, and so what I'd like you to do, I got to hang up with you now, but call back later because I'll always have more time to talk. Okay?
All right.
Thank you, my brother. Thank you, and I appreciated hearing from you. So right now we have the Reverend Dr. Alan E. Waller, who is the senior pastor of the Enon Tabernacle Baptist Church in Philadelphia. Dr. Waller, Reverend Dr. Waller, Pastor Waller, Jesus wept. How can we help me here? When I got the news, I learned from Dr. Ayla Stanford what happened yesterday. And all I could do was climb into my bed and go to sleep. And because I knew what was coming, And then I said to my husband when I awakened at 10 o'clock that night, because another media friend was calling me, trying to dissect some of what was going on in the city, I said to my husband, Pastor Waller and I talked about this last week. that the closer we get to the election, things are going to start happening. This is beyond unfortunate because a mother watched her son being killed after she called because and she kept saying he's got mental health, he needs help. What can you say to help the people today, sir, with 7 days left before the elections?
Well, it is regrettable, the situation that we find ourselves in. And you're right. Last week on this call,
yes,
I said we need to prepare ourselves for an eventuality like this.
Yep.
Nothing should surprise us in this moment because of the context that we're in. And we have to stay focused on the larger issue. Now, I'm grateful for the caller that was just on because he raised a lot of valid points about what could have and should have happened. And that is correct. And so what we need to recognize is that the greatest way we can organize right now, there's something on the ballot about how we can have a police oversight for things as this. And so as we're thinking about organizing and responding to this, we need to organize and respond and get to the polls and answer yes on that issue. There are legitimate questions that need to be raised in this moment. And we need to also remember that there are a number of people who would like to capitalize on the emotion of this moment and wreak havoc in our community to frustrate the election. What we cannot do is allow this to knock us off our square so that we don't focus on Tuesday. There's no question that this was reprehensible. There's no question that this needs to be investigated fully. There is no question, as a brother talked about, the force continuum. They went from 0 to 7.
Yes, they did.
Very quickly. There is no question that needs to be investigated, and that, quite frankly, not that we need to calm down, but that we need to focus our concern. What I don't want to see happen is, because we are upset and because we legitimately have issues with how this took place, that we, number one, tear up the community, that we, number two, may give room for white anarchists to
come on in,
the cloak of our righteous indignation, come in and cause problems that could, number one, frustrate polling places, number two, bring undue attention to our context, and give room for Donald Trump and his machine to further frustrate the larger agenda, which is our vote. And so we need, as a community, to have concern for the mother. No mother should ever have to see her son gunned down in the street in front of her. So our concern right now should be for her. And we cannot so personalize it to us individually that we forget the greatest loss to that mother. And then, number two, we need to recognize that there is a process that we need to just stay on top of. And we do have a tangible voice in this moment, and it's in the polls. I'm grateful for Mark Tyler and Lonnie Herndon, pastors in that area that are giving leadership. You know, Mark Tyler and Power have been in this conversation, and so they are doing, I think, taking the appropriate steps of addressing the community. I believe there's going to be a meeting tonight at 6 o'clock at Christian Compassion Church. And so whether the NAACP is on it or not, I know that clergy are. And I know that Mark Tyler, Lonnie Herndon, and Donald Moore, those guys are working this. And what we need to do is act like owners and not renters, and recognize that something reprehensible has happened in our community. We call on the mayor and the system to address it, and we will watch and let them address it. and if they don't address it right, we will push further. But if they address it with justice, we will act like we live here and let justice prevail.
Yes, I love that. You alluded to the ballot questions. And so for those who are still standing in line and listening to WURD as we speak, please understand those 4 ballot questions are very important, but question 1 and 3 particularly, and 2, question 3 was should the Home Rule Charter be amended to provide for the creation of a Citizens Police Oversight Commission and to authorize City Council to determine the composition, powers, and duty of the commission. The ballot question number 2 is, shall the Home Rule Charter be amended to create the Office of the Victim Advocate to advocate for crime victims and to work with victim services providers to coordinate, plan, train, educate, and investigate issues relating to crime victims? So you can either vote yes or no on either one of those questions. And the very first one, which we have sat in meeting after meeting with Commissioner Ross to talk about, shall the Philadelphia Home Rule Charter be amended to call on the police department to eliminate the practice of unconstitutional stop and frisk consistent with judicial precedent, meaning an officer must have reasonable suspicion that a person is engaged in criminal activity in order to stop that person, and therefore an officer cannot stop someone unlawfully because of their race, ethnicity, gender, sexuality, religious affiliation or expression, or other protected characteristics. So those 3 questions alone is enough to get you to go to the polls. What I am noticing, I was passing the Leocora Center today on my way in. My husband went down there because he and I voted at the same time. My vote was counted, his vote was not. And so he has been calling the commissioner's offices like nobody's business. He finally went down there this morning when he thought at an early time. There were 157 people in front of him.
That's right.
Waiting in line, and folks were determined to get their votes counted. And so while we are angry, because I'm not taking it as a mother, while we are angry, I want us to use that anger and focus it into going to vote. Focus it on answering those ballot questions. Focusing on what are the changes that we're absolutely seeking to have, because no more. You know, I trained police officers for decades, and I know for a fact, I only walk into police departments or into townships because I will say to the mayors when they call me, okay, here's the deal. You want me to train? I'm training. But if you are not going to change policy and shift the way you handle and manage, I'm not the sister for you. I have walked away from contracts as a direct result of that because they wanted me to come in and do a day. I'm like, nope. And the mayors that worked with me were able to release some police officers, right? Got rid of them, fired them. Even when the union told them they had to come back, they would put them on desk duty and refuse to put them back on the street until they quit or retired, right? There are ways to do this. And they know within the police department, the ones that are out of control, they know. They absolutely know. So if the police department won't do a job of weeding out the bad characters themselves, then we have to start forming these commissions, excuse me, and start weeding too, because it's untenable to keep burning down our communities in protest, right? So there has to be another way to do this. So I'm telling people all the time, Pastor Waller, implicit bias training in and of itself is hogwash if it's not followed up with tangible policy shifts and changes and holding some of these police officers accountable. And I stand my ground there.
That's right. And what I am committed to in this moment is helping people. Number one, as a pastor, I need to remind you of the spiritual nature of this. I said last week and have been saying we should have expected, and it's sad to say it that way, but we should expect that something within this context was going to happen.
Yes.
But also, I hope that people heard last night Donald Trump, because he played his card in terms of what his intentions are. And here's why we have to stay laser focused and get in early. Donald Trump made it very, very clear that he intends to push this election so that anything not counted by the 3rd will be thrown out. So here in Pennsylvania, remember, we talked about how the mail-in votes will be counted until the Friday. Remember that? Now, that was overturned in Wisconsin by the Supreme Court.
Yes, it was.
He is pushing to have that done. Right now, we need to be focusing on 2 messages. Number one, to people, get your stuff in early.
Yep.
Number 2, to the system, to our commissioners, build capacity so that you can count everything on the 3rd.
Yes.
Because
yes.
the handwriting is on the
wall. Yep.
He has stacked the Supreme Court.
Mm-hmm.
And if every one of these states that has agreed to allow postmarked votes to be counted for other days, it's going to be reversed at the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court is going to declare anything not counted by the end of November 3rd will not count.
Right.
He's played himself. That's why you and I need to remember, number one, get it in early, but also number two, let's not get so emotional that we frustrate systems that make it more difficult to make this voting day go forward, i.e. having to use police to watch over rioting or having to use police to watch over or other city and systemic issues to watch over addressing this issue, while we need all hands on deck with voting and protecting polling places. At this moment, while we need to make sure that people feel heard and that people have a way to address their anger and anxiety, we cannot lose sight of the larger ball, and that is we got to make a change on November 3rd, because the spirit of that office is being displayed in our systems, in our police expressions, in how this country is running. And the only way to change that is to show up and follow through.
Yes.
So I need people to hear that we know that something is wrong here, and the system has to work to address it. But the answer to that is playing chess and not checkers in this moment.
Can you hold on 1 second for me, Pastor Wallace? Just 1 second. Let me take a quick station break, all right?
Yep.
All right. You are listening to The Source, 96.1 FM, 900 AM, streaming live on WURDradio.com. Follow us on all social media platforms at onWURD. 215-634-8065 is the number to call in. We will be right back after these messages.
Everyone has a different journey to their vote, but we all take the same steps. If you want to vote, register by October 19th. If you want to vote by mail, apply now and mail your ballot back as early as possible, before November 3rd. Or bring it to a satellite election office. If you want to vote in person, go to your polling location on November 3rd. However you want to vote, we'll help you find the way. Visit PhiladelphiaVotes.com.
Right now, the health and financial security of voters over 50 are on the line. That's why AARP Pennsylvania is fighting for your voice to be heard. AARP Pennsylvania wants to make sure that you know all of your voting options and that all Americans can vote safely, whether they choose to vote from home or in person. To learn more about your voting options, visit aarp.org/PA Votes, paid for by AARP.
We've all heard it, that friend or relative who doesn't vote because they say the system is fixed, or that it doesn't matter. They don't care that people have died to secure the right to vote. They don't care that the politicians we elect through voting determine everything from how much money your kid's school will get to how much you pay in taxes, from how clean the air you breathe and the water you drink are, to the policies that govern the police that are supposed to protect you, whether working class families can pay their bills, whether you'll have access to funding to build a business, and how labor unions can protect the rights of their members. If these aren't enough reasons to get out and vote, then think about this. If your vote is so meaningless, why are there people out there trying to keep you from casting it? But seriously, if the past 3.5 years haven't convinced you how important it is to vote, then nothing I say, nothing you hear will convince you. So just vote. You can do it through early or mail-in ballots, or you can do it on November the 3rd. But just do it. This message is brought to you by the Coalition of Black Trade Unionists, Philadelphia chapter.
Remember when Trump defended neo-Nazis?
You also had people that were very fine people on both sides.
Or downplayed the coronavirus?
It's going to disappear one day. It's like a miracle.
It's time to fire politicians who failed us and elect leaders who will fight systemic racism, have a plan to beat the coronavirus, and will address bias in our healthcare system. This election, remember whose side Trump is on, not yours. Request a ballot now. Make a plan to vote. Our lives depend on it. Paid for by the NAACP.
4 years ago, Donald Trump asked Black America a simple question. Asked us, what do you have to lose?
What do you have to lose?
Since then, we've seen a rise in racial violence and white supremacy, an increase in poverty.
You're living in poverty. Your schools are no good. You have no jobs.
While giving tax cuts to the rich. 200,000 dead from COVID, 1 in 5 are Black. We've lost our jobs, our businesses, our dignity, and even our lives. And he, Trump, dares to ask, what the hell do you have to lose?
What the hell do you have to lose?
Well, Mr. President, damn near everything. After 4 years of Trump, ask yourself, Black America, are you better off? Vote for change.
I'm Joe Biden, candidate for president, and I approve this message.
Paid for by Biden for president.
You're listening to The Source with Andrea Lawful Sanders on WURD Radio. Streaming live on WURDradio.com and the WURD Radio app.
Welcome back to The Source. If you are looking on Facebook Live and watching me, you could see me looking up at the television. Commissioner Daniel Outlaw was just on the news saying that 91 arrests were made over the overnight. 11 were for assaults on police, 76 for burglary. She's also saying that they're expecting to have more additional incidences happening this evening, so there will be increased officer presence in certain places. And she just said she has requested additional patrols from a surrounding community. So it may not just be Philadelphia police officers that you see this evening into tomorrow. Pastor Waller, are you still there?
Yep, I'm here.
All right. So everything that you and I have been talking about is exactly what's getting ready to happen, right? Resources are being put into places where we didn't want it to be. And so, sir, in this last minute or so that you and I have on the line, what else would you like to let people know? I mean, the election is 8 days away. 7 days away. The COVID numbers are still spiking. Are you having testing at your church today?
We have testing on Thursday.
On Thursday.
We are doing testing. We have both tests. Well, we got flu shots, we got COVID-19 testing, and antibody testing.
Okay.
And so those of us who tested positive, I know I'm getting ready to have my 6-month antibody test, and it's part of that longitudinal study. So we're doing that. We're feeding tomorrow.
Right.
And then on Thursday, on Saturday from 10 to 2, we're having a colon cancer screening and flu shot. You can come up and pick up your kit to do your own colon cancer screening.
Okay.
Chadwick Boseman reminds us that that cancer is an issue, and we need to remember people don't have to die from cancer today. Like the past, but if it is detected early.
Right.
And so we want to encourage persons to come up and pick up your kit. It's a kit that you take home, handle your own stool, and then you bring it back, actually. And that's a wonderful analogy for the church, because the church is where you bring your stuff.
Yeah.
And you bring it back and put it in the box, and then you will be contacted if there is further indication of a colonoscopy that is necessary. So we are very much going to be a part of this. And I want to remind people, just generally speaking, now is the time like never before to stay focused on how to really win.
Yes.
We want to win. We want to win, and win not just an election. We want to win for our community. And the way to do that is to stay laser focused on the larger issues. And those larger issues is in rebuilding our world. And that begins first with this election. It begins secondly with watching the system address the atrocities of yesterday. And thirdly, taking care of our own community and being concerned for the day-to-day expression and experience of Black people in Philadelphia.
Thank you, Reverend Dr. Alan E. Waller. Thank you so much. I will be broadcasting live on Tuesday, so I'm adding you to that lineup, sir. If you are able for us to continue talking, because we need to, keep people focused and give them some general idea of what's going on across the city. Okay.
All right.
Thank you, sir. Have a good one.
Take care.
Bye bye. All right, so I have some callers on the line, but there's something that I need to say. My husband said this to me today. No, he didn't say it to me. He was on the phone with someone from the city commissioner's office, and he said to them, does anybody know over there what's going on? Does the right hand know what the left hand is doing? And the person that was speaking to him on the phone told him, we are inundated. We are behind the 8 ball because we truly did not expect this many people to register to vote. So here's what I'm going to suggest quickly. I don't know how you're going to be able to do this, but Reverend Dr. Alan E. Waller is absolutely correct. You see the handwriting on the wall. They already shut it down in Wisconsin. They're coming for Pennsylvania. They're fighting us in the courts right now. We may not have those 3 days to count those extra votes. So we want people's votes to count. We want everybody's votes to count. And if you don't have the bandwidth in the commissioner's office to bring it, start hiring more people, start seeking volunteers, do whatever you have to do to make sure that all this work that we have done to get people to register to vote and to get out and vote is not absolutely in vain. Because what you will not be able to say at the end of this election, if the people don't get their voices heard, what are you going to tell them, right? So we have to now come back to the table without the emotion, please. So don't sit around your offices listening to this radio show and going, she don't understand. Listen, man, I'm a businesswoman, so I understand that it's going to take some doing, and it may mean that some of us may have to work around the clock. But what is our lives worth at this point, right? How are we going to get more people to start counting those ballots so that they make a difference? Steve, line 1, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. I just want to say I listen to you all the time, and I'm not going to hold you because I know you're busy, but I really enjoy you
Thank you, sir.
Every day. And, I just wanted to make one point. First of all, I want to give my condolences to the family. Man, it's very terrible.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing about it that really got me last night was the investiture of this new woman to the Supreme Court.
Mm-hmm.
And Clarence Thomas allowed himself to be used by this man who calls himself president. And if anybody saw that, they could look at Trump, if you've had any exposure to mental health, and see his body language and what it was saying. And I am appalled. I can't believe it. And I just had to say that, and thank you.
You're quite welcome, sir.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. You're quite welcome. Thank you for listening. Oh, my gosh. I have 3 minutes before I have to go back to break. Mary, line 2.
Yes, good afternoon.
Good
Andrea.
afternoon, ma'am.
I want to give my condolences to the Wallace family.
Yes,
ma'am. It's upsetting to see this continuing to happen. And we know what the problem is. These police officers are not qualified to be on the police force. We get them from the military. These people are trained to kill. It's no de-escalation in that type of mindset. After you may be in wars for 10 years or more. And I have notified the city and the country in the past that we stopped doing federal background checks, psychological testing, and drug testing on these police officers. We have no idea who these people are. And we have to start looking in their police folders and find out if they ever received a background check, and it's supposed to be signed off by the federal investigator, a psychological testing, which they should continue to get that on an annual basis, if it's signed by a psychiatrist, and drug testing. Who was the doctor that performed the drug testing on the police officer? If it's not in their police folder, then they are not legally qualified to be carrying a gun and policing other people. We knew this back in the late 90s when Congress notified the country that they was going to contract out the work. And under Newt Gingrich, this was done. And these cash-strapped cities do not perform these activities on these police officers because they don't have the money. We were doing it in the past in Philadelphia with the health department. And when I was notified, because I knew a lot of the psychiatrists that they were sending them to, and when they stopped funding this, we have no idea. We have white nationalists in the police department.
Yep.
And
Miss Mary,
the problem.
And Miss Mary, I can attest to that because I have trained them. I have seen with my own two eyes white nationalists in the police department. I have seen it. Right?
And having reverence to think that they can control this. No, we have to weed these people out if they're not qualified under the law, because we have a law in place that this is required for every police officer. If it's not in there, this is why they're hiding what's in their police folder, because they don't want you to know that they are not legally responsible in carrying a gun, because all these people need to be charged just like any other criminal, or they have an opportunity to resign and get off the force now.
Thank you.
This is the only way you're going to correct this. It's going to continue to happen.
All right, Miss Mary, I got to take a break, and I'm running over, but thank you so much. You made some incredibly valid points. Keep listening and have a great afternoon, okay?
Thank you.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
You are listening to The Source, 96.1 FM, 900 AM. And for those of you who are waiting online, just hold on for Mother, okay? The phone lines are lighting up like a Christmas tree over here. Mike can't keep up. 215-634-8065 is the number to call in. If you are hearing the sound of my voice, I am Andrea Lawful Sanders, and we will be right back after these messages.
Hi, I'm Tobias Harris. We've been hashtagging and protesting, but this November, we can show the system what time it is. We've been victims of police brutality, stop and frisk, and other forms of harassment. On November 3rd, we take our power back. This year, everything changes. We can vote to end stop and frisk and put police accountability in the hands of the people. It's on us. On November 3rd, vote to make our communities safer and our systems fairer.
Paid for by Black Vote PA, which is responsible for the content of this advertising. Not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee. www.theelectionisnow.com.
Internet Essentials from Comcast. High-speed home internet for low-income families for just $9.95 per month. Visit internetessentials.com to learn more.
4 years ago, Donald Trump asked Black America a simple question. Asked us, what do you have to lose?
What do you have to lose?
Since then, we've seen a rise in racial violence and white supremacy, an increase in poverty.
You're living in poverty. Your schools are no good. You have no jobs.
While giving tax cuts to the rich. 200,000 dead from COVID, 1 in 5 are Black. We've lost our jobs, our businesses, our dignity, and even our lives. And he, Trump, dares to ask, what the hell do you have to lose?
What the hell do you have to lose?
Well, Mr. President, damn near everything. After 4 years of Trump, ask yourself, Black America, are you better off? Vote for change.
I'm Joe Biden, candidate for president, and I approve this message.
Paid for by Biden for president.
Want the latest in Word swag? Check out the shop tab on WURDradio.com. Hoodies, tees, and more in a variety of colors. The shop tab on WURDradio.com. Show the world that you're all about Black. Talk Media. Monday through Thursday, keep it locked to Word Radio. At 6 a.m., start your day with the Power Hour, hosted by Bishop Dwayne Royster and Reverend Mark Kelly Tyler. At 7, it's Wake Up with Word with Solomon Jones. At 10 a.m., it's Reality Check with Charles Ellison. Then at 1 p.m., it's The Source, hosted by Andrea Lawful Sanders on Mondays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays, and the Black Women's Leadership Council on Wednesdays. At 4 p.m., it's Evening Words with Nick Taliaferro. Then at 7, it's Save Space with Sincerely Sarita. At 9 p.m., round up your day with Keeping It Real with the Reverend Al Sharpton. Keep your dial locked to Word Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD. Streaming live on on WURDRadio.com and the WURD Radio app. Or watch live on WURD TV via Facebook and YouTube. WURD Radio. Independent Black Media. This is WURD Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD Philadelphia. Independent Black Media.
You're listening to The Source with Andrea Lawful Sanders on WURD Radio. Streaming live on WURDRadio.com and the WURD Radio app.
Welcome back to The Source. I'm going to take a few more phone calls and then jump into our next guest, Shakira King, because the phones continue to ring. OMG. And I'm not complaining because every line is taken up right now. But before I go any further, I'd like to wish a happy 5th birthday to my grandson, or our grandson, Jalen Sanders, who turned 5 today. And I'm hoping that we can do a drive-by and wave to him. You know, another thing we've not been able to do is hug our grandson, who almost for a year now. So happy 5th birthday, Jalen. Grandma and Grandpa, I love you. Or BB and Grandpa loves you. I'm too cute to be grandma, you know. All right. Brother Mike, line 4. Are you there?
I'm here.
How are you, sir?
How are you?
I'm good.
I'm good. So I just wanted to first say congratulations on that appointment. And I really think that it lends an opportunity for someone of your background and skill set to really, really help this effort in changing or assisting police behavior. I also want to say that the Philadelphia, and I actually put this in my Facebook comment, Philadelphia Behavioral Health and Intellectual Ability, they have tremendous resources that are grossly being underutilized. And so a closer partnership with the Philadelphia Behavioral Health System and the police at this point, and it's past this point, is very, very necessary. And I think as well that anyone dealing in law enforcement, they should be, at a minimum, have 4 or 5 different trainings a year in mental health, trauma. There's some excellent, very easy courses out there, as well as, as Mary said, have psych testing and proof of it. And these are all beneficial things because it's a very, very complicated job, and it does require intervention from professionals to make sure that the police aren't fit out on the street. So I am prayerful that you will be able to, in your role, hopefully augment that process of the police and the mental health professionals in Philadelphia, because, the mental health system in Philadelphia is a wonderful, fantastic system that's just not being utilized in a way that it could be. So
it's utilized for who they choose to utilize it for, because I'm telling you, it works on behalf of some families. It just doesn't work on behalf of us a lot of the times. And so we have to put our biases and our assumptions out of the way when we're dealing with black and brown people, and stop seeing us as animals and seeing us as human beings with the same trials and tribulations, if not more, and with the same kind of mental health challenges, if not more, because of all the trauma that we have to deal with consistently. But I thank you so much for calling in, Brother Mike. I appreciate you, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Bye-bye. All right, so I am, what time is it? I want to make sure that I have Shakira in, and I can't have talked to her for a good long time. George.
And
how are you, sir?
Fine. Is that Kiera Gray?
No.
Oh, I thought she was having the next mayor on.
Well, you know. You and I agree on that, but okay.
One thing Charles Ellison said that was true this morning, and then they're going to really, when they get jammed, we'll see, is that you have them, what they call them, militias, the Proud Boys or whatever. 3 or 4 o'clock this morning, they went all around the city breaking windows of businesses. And if you notice, they were all black businesses. All black businesses that got targeted. And then they went in there and, looted all these places except Rite Aid and Pet Boys, a few other places that they did. But they tearing up their own neighborhood. Now people can't even go get their medicines. But this is why I really called you. All these commissions and all these boards and stuff that they're talking about they're going to vote on. Ask yourself the question: who appoints these people and who funds it?
There you go. At the local city level. I agreed.
Right. Okay, so therefore that means that the mayor funds it. That means that city council get to put their friends and family or buddies on. It's a buddy system. Put the people on the board. The mayor puts his person on the board. It's called controlling the board. Okay? Be careful what you ask for. And then they'll have that special group of Negroes who go and meet with him, that they'll be on the board and all this here. Ask yourself, what do you really get out of all this here? Let me tell you something about some of these ministers. The only one that Kenny respects is Dr. Wilder.
Dr. Waller?
Yes, he has the utmost respect for you. You know why? Wilder never goes in there asking for anything. He don't even meet with those people. He don't even want them in his church. He tolerates a lot of them. But Reverend Wilder is about that. I can vouch for him. He's one of the best ones in this city that deal with these elected officials who never ask for anything. But he got a lot of them that uses his name, kick his name around like they can deliver him. And they all, and he, it's not like he don't know that they try to use him and use his name or prop him up and, come in the room with him. I love it when he comes to City Hall because you know what he do? Never get in the camera. He only there for what he got to do. And he'll say, I agree with the rest and leave. But he's one of the ones, the few that Kenny respect. Now, when all this stuff is over and they have voted for what they're going to vote for, watch you get appointed to these positions. And then ask yourself, what are they going to get funded? None of it's going to get any type of funding where you can do anything. Do you actually really believe that they're going to put something together and let you? First of all, they ain't even going to put it on the ballot unless they know they can control it.
Right.
Until you change the council and put some council people in there who are not in there for themselves and in there for the people, not trying to get their friends, their brother, or their husband, or their wife a contract, then you're going to get somewhere. Until then, you notice what I said before. You see all these activists and all these community people and all this hell raising, they're quiet. You know why? Kenny told them you better not say nothing about the administration and you're not allowed to say anything about that police commissioner. I said that over 3 or 4 months ago, and you've yet to hear anybody talk about the police commissioner. You don't hear anybody talk about nothing about the administration. If they do, it's mediocre. But if you want to keep their check going and be in good graces with the administration, keep your mouth shut.
All right, George.
Let me say one other thing. They can feel free now because Brian Abernathy is gone. But remember, the mayor still has those receipts, the thing called a check that he gave all of them. Still have that, so don't get out of line too far.
All right. Thank you, George. Have a good one, honey. George calling. Let me take this next guest, because I want to be able to get her in and get her voice heard. So let me do this quickly. And for those of you who are still on the line, please do not hang up. Mother's going to get you in as quickly as possible, okay? Excuse me. Shakira King is an organizer in the city of Philadelphia who is currently working on a campaign around black targeted disinformation and voter suppression. Right on time. Shakira, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. How are you?
I'm good. See, you ask and you shall receive, right?
Yes, ma'am.
What would you like to tell the WURD listeners?
So first I want to speak to the family of Walter Wallace Jr. I would love to just give my respects to the family. This was unspeakable. It was completely 112% preventable. And we are consistently shown by our local government, Mayor Kinney, D.A. Krasner, and Danielle Outlaw, just how disrespected people in the black community are. So that's my first offering in this conversation, is that I want to hold space for Walter Wallace Jr. and his family, his loved ones, his children that are suffering right now. I also want to hold space for my organizing community that was in the streets last night. To the young lady whose video was going viral on the internet right now about her screaming about how we are experiencing the same thing in Philadelphia as folks are in Nigeria by making that global connection. We completely understand that defunding the police is something that needs to be done everywhere around the world.
Agreed.
So that's the second thing that I want to offer in this space. And a thank you to you for just having me on at this hour.
You're welcome, sweetie. So what would you like to share with us?
So I am currently working on a campaign that is focused around making COVID the main issue for Black people and their voting in this election. I am working with an organization called AI for the People, which is run by a Harvard fellow. Her name is Natale Nkande. She's based out of New York. We are looking at online voter suppression that is here in the city of Philadelphia and really the whole entire state of Pennsylvania. In March, we noticed that there was a large amount of disinformation groups, one Black group in particular that was targeting Black voters online. So we launched this project to combat it. We also found that there were a number of fake Twitter accounts, because our research is focused on Twitter, a number of fake Twitter accounts that were spreading this disinformation. And to give folks, especially those that are parents that have teenage children that are on social media right now, I want to give them one piece of advice. Through our data, we found that things that make us unwell mentally, right, things that make us angry, things that get our blood pressure up, things that make us hyper emotional, always float to the top of our timeline, right? Always float to the top. So there may be good news that's happening. We may be able to have a joke on social media. Your kids may be able to see a new viral dance, but they can't get to it because the way these algorithms work, they work to engage people, and what's engaging Black people the most right now is civil unrest.
Yes.
So if you are a parent with a teenage child that is constantly on Instagram, on Twitter, on TikTok, ask them very nicely, please take a break, because these things going viral is not only taking a toll on us as a whole in Philadelphia, our mental health and our well-being, but it's taking a special toll on them because they're watching and experiencing this violence in real time.
Yes, and you know what, Shakira? I'm happy that you're saying this, because what we're also seeing that their mental health issues are increasing, our teenagers. Right?
Yes.
And we keep thinking, well, they're home, they're not doing anything. Why are they having all this trouble sleeping? You know, why are they having all this trouble trying to figure out what they're doing and how they're doing it? Why is this an issue for them? Look at their social media pages. You're absolutely right. Absolutely right.
Yes. So also through our research, we found out that Pennsylvania will most likely be the state to decide the election. Because Trump has targeted a large amount of money. I want to say the last number that we knew was about $52 million in campaign ads that are just coming to the state of Pennsylvania, right? Like they're not being aired anywhere else. They're being aired just here. And the idea is that if he can get Black people on his side, that he can win this election. Unfortunately, in the last couple of weeks, we saw that there are a number of Black celebrities and other Black people who are leaning more towards the Trump side. So with our Vote Down COVID initiative, we are focusing on the issue of COVID. There are about 400,000 Black people that live in the city of Philadelphia, right? Last time I checked, about 16,000 of those Black people have been infected with COVID-19 in Philadelphia. About, I'm sorry, I wrote the number down here.
That's okay. Keep going.
About 903 of those have died. Black people have died of COVID. And what we're seeing is before it was older Black people that were suffering, we're now seeing a larger amount between the ages of 35 and 54 who are contracting this disease, right? And unfortunately, it's affecting Black women the most. Philadelphia is a large woman's city, right? Like there was a report a couple years ago, Fox 29 did, or maybe 2 years ago, about how Philadelphia didn't have a large amount of men in it. So because we're a Black heavy city and because we're a Black woman heavy city, Black women are the most vulnerable at this point. And to give my mama a shout out, because I know she's probably listening, my mama actually contracted COVID because her, like many other Black people in this city, had found themselves being essential workers, right?
Yes.
They did not sign up to be essential workers. They did not ask to be essential workers. They're not being paid additionally to be essential workers, but they are they have found themselves on the front line of this pandemic. And by making COVID the main issue, I feel like we can really convince Black people in the city of Philadelphia to show up on November 3rd.
So, Shakira, are you aware that 9 out of 10 people are registered to vote in this city? That is the largest voting group they've ever seen in the last 30 years? 90%.
I'm extremely happy, and
yes.
I just want to say that part of that is also because the city made it easier and more accessible for more people to be able to register. There was more voter outreach, right? But this shouldn't happen only when there's a presidential election.
Right.
Black people, especially in the city of Philadelphia, to the brother before me, his point, we need to be involved in all of these elections.
Yes,
right?
Agreed.
The only reason why we got Mayor Kenny another 4 years was because there was nobody to run against him. He basically ran uncontested.
Yeah.
And
well, he had several people run against him, but didn't work out.
But nobody who really caught our attention. And because we had kind of gotten apathetic, he was the one who won, right? And as a result of that, and more Black people just being engaged, we see that we can actually make some very significant shifts. I want to give a huge, huge, huge shout out to Representative City Council person Kendra Brooks, who's with the Working Families Party, right? Amazing. Is around the way, knows her people, right, and picks up for us every opportunity she gets. My council person, Jamie Gauthier, Isaiah Thomas. I want to give a shout out to Helen Jim. These are the people who have consistently been meeting with me and talking to me and asking me to talk to the city council. These are the people who understand that as a young Black woman, I'll be 29 next year. As a young Black woman, that this is the city that I am shaping.
Right.
My generation is now shaping. So they are the ones that genuinely want to know, how is it that we can convince more people to be civically engaged? And by doing this Vote Down COVID campaign, that's one of the ways that they can be civically engaged. Because it's one of the things that directly affects us. So many of my generation are gig workers, right? We work, we drive Uber, we work in bars, we work in restaurants, we're waitresses, waiters, all those other, we work in clubs, we do all those things. And now we have lost all of our income.
Right.
And there's no relief in sight. We got one check to last us 7 months. We cannot survive in this way.
Yes. Yeah, I agree. So interesting that I have been having so much dialogue about young people, your age group, and letting the older folks know that you're coming, that you're not only coming, you're here, and that things are about to shift in the next 2 election cycles, and folks who have gotten absolutely comfortable need to pay attention, because you're just not going to lay down and take it, right? So I'm glad to hear that you're out here. What is your mother's name?
My mother's name is Kim.
All right, Miss Kim, shout out from Mother Diva. Your daughter's doing a fantastic job, sis.
Oh,
fantastic job. You should be so proud. And I'm sorry you got the COVID, the Rona, but I'm glad you recovered. And I understand that as an essential worker and a Black sister that you're out there hanging and doing your things. Yeah, I love appreciating the folks, right? She did an amazing job raising you, because you're on here tearing it up. Absolutely tearing it up. Right? So I'm so glad you were able to call in so that we could talk about this. I fully appreciate everything that you have been doing, and I'd like you to be able to call in again and let us know what you're up to next. Okay?
Okay, I would love that. Just so folks know, they can find the videos that we've produced in partnership with MoveOn.org, which is a large granting and civic organization. We've partnered with them to put out 4 videos that feature local Philadelphians, including my mother, Suzanne Green, who is the owner and operator of Spirits of
We're losing you. Hello? Uh-oh. See, this is the thing. Okay, I got you. Go ahead.
Okay, sorry.
Oh, that's sorry.
Dr.
Losing you again. Sometimes this happens. All right.
Either way, I do want to say just thank you for the opportunity again.
Oh, you're welcome,
and
sweetie.
they can find us at the hash mark vote down COVID.
Vote down COVID. Put that in the Facebook page for me, please, Mike. Hashtag vote down COVID, and that's how we'll be able to find you. Thank you so much, Shakira King. So good talking to you.
Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity.
Oh,
you guys have a wonderful day.
You too, sweetie. Bye-bye.
All right, bye-bye.
All right, let me take a quick call. Gary from Southwest.
Hey, how are you doing today?
I'm good, sir. How are you?
I'm okay. I just, listening to the young lady, and I'm glad to see our young people really getting engaged and involved.
Mm-hmm.
But one thing I wanted to also say is that we all still have to work together as a collective.
Yes.
The older, the younger generation. We got to kind of like pass that baton on, and, maybe some other older people involved. But, you got to get that energy from our young people. And what I wanted to say is that you look at the state of Philadelphia, the poverty, all the stuff is going on.
Mm-hmm.
We've had elected officials in our position that look like us, and we need more done than what's been done previously in the past. And I think they really, I'm not trying to throw shade at anybody, but they dropped the ball. They're not addressing our issues from our educational system, the crime, the lack of jobs, but we're still loyal to this party. And we have not gotten what we truly deserve. For example, if you're working for my company and you're not producing, guess what? You're not going to be.
You're going to be fired. Absolutely.
Exactly. And the arrogance and what I really want to talk about when I saw the incident with the shooting of that black man and his mother chasing him around. Where were the men at?
Yeah, the men that were recording and giving us the blow by blow on video. Even if there was still somebody recording on video, there should have been 3 or 4 men in that community saying, "Come on, man, let's go get him before he gets shot by the cops." I absolutely agree with you.
Because Andrea, right now, really, all of us have some mental issues.
Yes, you better listen.
Hey, man, because sometimes I'm out there and I have to catch myself. From dealing with people. But when I saw that film, that really bothered me. But it made me think, like, our women, man, I'm going to tell you, my mother was one of them. Strong people. Strong individuals. Our brothers got to really step it up.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And even when it comes to our political officials, the brothers in particular, you got to step it up. I'm tired of seeing our women always stepping up, being in the forefront.
Man, Gary, don't hang up. Hold on. Let me take a quick break because I want to keep talking to you. You are listening to The Source, 96.1 FM, 900 AM, streaming live on WURDradio.com. Follow us on all social media platforms at onWURD. 215-634-8065 is the number to call in. I am Andrea Lawful Sanders, and we will be right back after these messages.
Let me be as honest and clear as I possibly can. Donald Trump is the wrong president for our country. He has had more than enough time to prove that he can do the job, but he is clearly in over his head.
America needs a president who can handle the job. America needs Joe Biden. Make a plan to vote. Our lives depend on it.
Paid for by AFS Me People, which is responsible for the content of this ad. AFSMePeople.org. Not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee.
Remember when Trump defended neo-Nazis?
You also had people that were very fine people on both sides.
Or downplayed the coronavirus?
It's going to disappear one day. It's like a miracle.
It's time to fire politicians who failed us and elect leaders who will fight systemic racism, have a plan to beat the coronavirus, and will address bias in our healthcare system. This election, remember whose side Trump is on, not yours. Request a ballot now. Make a plan to vote. Our lives depend on it. Paid for by the NAACP.
As a business owner, hiring and developing people from the community that your company serves is one of the best ways to show commitment to that community. Let WURD Radio help with Livelihood, our new initiative that connects Philadelphians with companies like yours. We'll feature your business, open employment opportunities, and resources to connect your company with talent and ensure that you reach your target demographic. To learn more about how Livelihood can help you build your team, visit WordWorks.com. That's WURD works.com.
Work, 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 work.
livelihood is supported by the Nightland Fest's Local News Transformation Fund, Borealis Philanthropies Racial Equity and Journalism Fund, and the Solutions Journalism Network.
WURD Radio presents the following information to help you navigate the up-and-coming election. Still concerned about COVID-19 and voting in person? Pennsylvania has you covered with mail-in ballots. Simply submit a completed ballot by mail. So long as you request that mail-in ballot between now and October 27th, go to votespa.com and apply for your mail-in ballot today. When your ballot arrives, read it carefully and follow the instructions to complete it and return it. You can also track and confirm that your County Board of Elections has received the mail-in ballot by going to votespa.com. For more information on how to vote in Pennsylvania, visit states.aarp.org/Pennsylvania. Vote early. WURD Radio presents the following information to help you navigate the up-and-coming election. Stay informed and vote. For more from Charles Ellison, tune in Monday through Thursday from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. or visit wordradio.com.
4 years ago, Donald Trump asked Black America a simple question. Asked us, what do you have to lose?
What do you have to lose?
Since then, we've seen a rise in racial violence and white supremacy, an increase in poverty.
You're living in poverty. Your schools are no good. You have no jobs.
While giving tax cuts to the rich. 200,000 dead from COVID, 1 in 5 are Black. We've lost our jobs, our businesses, our dignity, and even our lives. And he, Trump, dares to ask, what the hell do you have to lose?
What the hell do you have to lose?
Well, Mr. President, damn near everything. After 4 years of Trump, ask yourself, Black America, are you better off? Vote for change.
I'm Joe Biden, candidate for president, and I approve this message.
Paid for by Biden for president.
You're listening to The Source with Andrea Lawful Sanders on WURD Radio. Streaming live on WURDradio.com and the WURD Radio app.
Welcome back to The Source. Gary, are you still there?
Yes, I'm still here.
Yes. So continue, brother, because I'm listening to you and I'm going, yep. All makes sense. Come over.
Andrew, really, I wish I just had a lot of time, but it's like I am so fed up with the state of our city, the officials that we have that look like us, and I'm sorry, it's just the truth. You know, that's when I saw that that video with that man being murdered, because that's what happened. If that was a Caucasian male, they would have did everything in their power. They would have stood down. They would have taken him in without an incident. It has become so acceptable and common to murder us like an animal in the street. Matter of fact, they treat dogs better than they treat us.
Yeah.
Okay? And I don't know, if I had a scale to measure my anger, it'd be off the chart.
Yeah.
But
But that's a part of the trauma, right?
Right. And we deal with. I think about my sons, my wife, even our women, the way they treat us. And it's unacceptable. I would have thought by now you would have had these Black politicians out there in a press conference saying something. But no. But when they want our vote, they come out with their little chicken sandwiches and T-shirts and want to come to their event and support them. We have got to shift our priorities. And I'm going to say this. I love sports, entertainment, and all that. I played ball when I was in school. My son played. Right now, I could care less about the Eagles. I'm sorry if I'm offending anyone. I could care less about the Eagles, the Phillies, definitely the Phillies, or the Sixers. My people are perishing.
Yep.
They are perishing, and these fools, all they want to talk about is, are you going to vote for me?
Yeah.
Are you going to come to my event? Can I have you take a photo op with me?
Yeah.
We have to do better. And I'm going to say this, I really thank our women, such as yourself. I love listening to your segment, your discussions, your show.
Thank you.
Our women are strong, and it just takes me back to my mother, because my mother was no joke.
Yeah.
She was no joke. But I'm just saying, I love my people, and I'm tired of us being marginalized and disrespected. Yeah, you can talk about, they blew it, they tore up. There's a reason for that. Hurt people hurt people.
Yeah.
Okay? But they don't want to address that. And I was going to end on this note. America would not be America if it was not for my ancestors who built this country and created all the technology that they experience and that they have. Let's be real. That's another part. Let's teach the true history in school from the beginning, so these Caucasians will know also what we did. Okay? Instead of us learning about George Washington never told a lie, and chopped down a cherry tree. I'm going to end on that. Thank you.
All right. Oh, thank you so much. Oh, Lord have mercy. Gary, you have to hang up. I don't think Gary's hung up. There's so much going on right now, and Gary made a point about the strength of black women and that we're disrespected. Some of what I am seeing right now is that because we are so keen to get into certain positions or so keen to have leadership roles, some of us are allowing ourselves to be disrespected. And so we have to sit and think and figure out, what is our integrity worth? Right? And if we can't think about our integrity before we make decisions about certain things, then we need to kind of step off and do something else, right? It doesn't look good. We already know we have to work so hard to get where we need to. What we cannot afford to do is continue to compromise ourselves and hide in a shell when people are questioning and asking questions. I am the first one to say, mea culpa. You know what? I was absolutely wrong. I found out I was about 22 when I realized this. If I just say I'm sorry and I didn't know what, I just didn't know, it turns things around and people respect you, and so that when you open your mouth and you actually say things that are making a sense, they listen to you, right? But when you're always defensive about everything that's going on around you, then, when it comes time when you're actually making sense, the people are like, whatever, man, because you don't own up to anything. You don't own up and say, I was wrong when I did X, Y, and Z. There's nothing wrong with saying I was wrong. It makes you human, right? And it brings out a side of you that allows people to want to talk to you and to reason with you. That's all I'm saying. Nicole. Yeah, Nicole, are you there?
Yes, I'm here, ma'am. How are you doing?
I am so good, sweetie. Do you have Senator Casey with you?
Yes, I believe he is to be on today as well.
So has anyone called in from Senator Casey's office yet, Mike? No, they haven't called in yet. So let me see. Nicole, because our whole conversation was with Senator Casey and with you, correct?
Correct.
All right.
I can go ahead and get us started.
Yes, please do. Yes.
So he joined us. So, again, thank you so much. I appreciate your time. We are a week away from the election. And one of the most important things that I just want to really raise up today is that today is October 27th, and it is the last day to request your mail-in ballot.
Last day to request the mail-in ballot. Okay.
Yes. So all of your listeners out there, if you've been procrastinating, today is the day. Okay, so you need to go down to your elections office and request one if you haven't already done so. I don't really recommend doing it online at this point, because it will need to be mailed out to you. And with November 3rd being right around the corner, the likelihood that you get in and be able to return on time diminishes. So I know in Philly today, all the satellite offices had special hours and opened up at 9:30. But if you are in line by 5 p.m. today, you can still request your mail-in ballot.
Okay.
So you have to be there by 5 to get it.
Must be in line by 5. Okay.
Yes.
All right.
In Montgomery County, where I live, the last day for satellites was yesterday, but folks can still go to the main election office in Norristown to request their ballot. So it varies depending on which county that you're in regards to the hours of operation. So go to the state's webpage, and I can drop that on your Facebook page. And they have a list of all of the election offices across the state and their hours of operation.
Okay.
So go there, and you can find out exactly where your satellite office is, if you have one, or you can still make it into your main office as well.
Yeah, I had no idea that Montgomery County had satellite offices because a friend called and said she never received her ballot. She requested it. They said it was coming, and it never came. What I sent her to was Norristown. I said, you're just going to have to go up to Norristown and go ahead and get it, right? Here is my question, because the Trump administration is still fighting in the courts to make sure that we're not able to count the ballots past November 3rd. If they win that challenge, all right, will the election offices be staffed enough for counting all those mail-in ballots because so many people took the time and the effort to mail in, to request and to get and to mail in their ballots and to do it the proper way. Will we have enough staffing? Are you aware of what the staffing is like in Montgomery County and Philadelphia counties especially? Those two counties worry me because that's where the election hinges on them.
Exactly, and all the counties have ramped up to make sure that they have the appropriate staff and equipment in place. The very last ruling actually stated that they would be able to count the ballots as long as they were received by November 3rd. If they receive them as late as November 6th, they will still be counted as long as they're received by November 3rd. So that's why I just also want to caution folks, don't think that anything nefarious is going on. If we don't have results on November 3rd, we don't expect to have results. If we want to make sure that everybody's vote is counted, we're living in a pandemic, so we expect them to get an onslaught of mail-in ballots.
Right.
So we have to give them the time to count them, and by law, they can't start counting until the 3rd. So you're talking about millions of ballots,
right? But if the Trump administration is challenging, which they are, according to Pastor Waller, they got it knocked out in Wisconsin already, that they can't go the 3 extra days. They're challenging Pennsylvania right now. If they win that challenge, we have no choice but to finish counting by the 3rd. So my question is, what do we have in place, knowing what we know, because he's talking about it at his rallies, right? Because that's how he tells us everything he's getting ready to do. Knowing what we know, do we have enough time and bandwidth to prepare to have those ballots counted on the 3rd if that is the only option we have?
Yes, to my knowledge, the counties are ready and prepared to count the ballots that are there. But they are consistently, but I know Secretary Bukbar has been very aggressive. We've heard Shapiro's office talk about they are fighting against anything that is going to disenfranchise the voters of their state.
Okay.
So I don't want to be overly optimistic, but I think that, we've already, won the last challenge, and they're probably going to keep challenging. And there's nothing that we can, do about that, but keep on fighting and making sure that they actually advocate for us in the courts.
Right. Absolutely. You're absolutely right. So we'll just continue to do what we do while they do what they're doing. So then I have a question for you. I realize that you may not be able to answer it, but up until recently we were talking through this. There was a shooting in Philadelphia last night. Are you aware of this?
Yes.
Okay. And the shooting, people are calling in and asking, where is the NAACP? What are they doing? How have we not heard from them? Can you give us some hindsight or some highlight into that? Like, where are they?
And you know what? I did give a heads up. So currently, I am no longer with the NAACP.
Okay.
I am with Community Hero. So we are very, very much agile and responsive to civic issues that are going on with the community. So for the NAACP, you'd probably need to reach out to someone from that organization to get a little bit more clarity.
Because I don't understand. Like, we don't see them. When these kinds of things happen, and especially in Philadelphia where so much is going on at once, they just don't pop up. We don't see them making a statement. We don't see them out in the community. Am I missing something? It doesn't make any sense. Lord. Senator Casey is still not on, so I'm not really sure what to do about that.
Okay. Well, you know what? I know how his schedule can, change on a dime. I know there was a few changes even actually before this setting. So, I appreciate you making the time. And, I just wanted to make sure that, folks just understand how important today is.
Yes.
And I just want to end on this note that we keep talking about November 3rd, but that's not the end date.
Yes.
What the Black community has to deal with. That is the beginning. So everybody has to stay just as hyped and amped and upset, whatever it is, way after November 3rd. We need the community to stay engaged, period. It is not going to change by itself.
Right.
We believe that we can still keep doing the same thing, expecting different result, right? That's the definition of insanity. So if we go home after Election Day and then are surprised in 4 years that nothing has changed,
right,
then shame on us.
Right. Agreed. Absolutely agreed. Nicole Keels Magruder, thank you so much. If Senator Casey calls in while I'm taking some of these phone calls, then I'll happily speak to him. So reach out to them for me, please, and let me know where he is, if you can.
I definitely will.
All right, thank you. Thank you, my love. All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Rosalind, line 3, are you there?
Yes, praise the Lord.
Thank you for holding on.
Love you so much.
Huh?
I said I love you so much.
Oh, Sister Rosalind, thank you.
And yesterday when the young boy was on there, and he's 13 years old, I can't quote everything, but I know he's supposed to be the next president. When that mother is trying to protect her son, that's all of our sons dying in the street. And like the brother said, where are the men?
Yes. Yes.
Where are they? We've been on the front line raising our sons and daughters by ourselves since centuries. Then you can up stuff. It's your stuff in your community. You have to get from in front of these phones, turn that TV off, clean out your house, clean up your children's brain, and educate them on how to get a job. It's jobs out there. My son, Richard Allen, credit board, 610-861, 610-864-0197. He's hiring people. We just got 12,000 square feet with UE Radio. I trained all of them from children and any other children I raised. People don't want to work. You have to work in order to survive. One last thing. People in houses of representatives, this ain't just start. It's been going on. You better get them out of there. Because their children are being killed too. And as far as the police is concerned, working with McDonald's and Kentucky Fried for the last 35 years, let me tell you something. You've never seen black people getting killed like that. So when it came to the black officer, I don't know who the white man put it out there and made that article about got all them black cops fired. It wasn't right up.
All right.
If they can't bring them back to our community, we don't want them.
Yes. Thank you so much, Miss Rosalind. I love you too, Miss Rosalind. Thank you so much for calling in, okay?
My prayers go out to his family.
Yes, ma'am.
Because that's our child, too.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. We'll keep talking about this and figuring out how we can make a difference. You have a great day, okay?
You too.
All right. Bye-bye. Senator Bob Casey's on the line, so I'm going to take a quick break and then come back and have a good discussion with him. You are listening to The Source, 96.1 FM, 900 AM, streaming live on WURDradio.com. Follow us on all social media platforms at onWURD. 215-634-8065 is the number to call in. I am Andrea Lawful Sanders, and we will be right back after these messages.
The WURD Radio newsletter, keeping you informed, engaged, and connected. Sign up by visiting WURDradio.com. Scroll to the bottom of the page and type your email address under Connect with Us. You'll receive the latest information on WURD Radio, messages from our president and CEO, Sarah Lomax Reese, exclusive articles and multimedia content, and resources. Stay informed with the WURD Radio newsletter.
This year has been unprecedented. From the COVID pandemic to nationwide protests addressing systemic racism and calling for criminal justice reform. For weeks, we've been reminding you to make your voice heard in this election, and now is the time to act. Voting is how we empower our communities, and this election day, we can make things happen for us instead of letting things happen to us. So use your power and make your plan to vote today. If you signed up to vote by mail, don't wait. Complete your ballot. Put it in a small envelope and seal it. Then put it in a larger envelope and seal that too. Sign and date it. Then drop off your ballot at your county election office today. If you have not signed up to vote by mail, go to the polls on Tuesday, November 3rd. Make sure to confirm your polling location and don't forget to wear a mask. Polling places are open from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. on Election Day. To find your county election office or polling location, visit votespa.com. Take your power to the polls and vote. Paid for by Power Interfaith.
If you're thinking of voting by mail this election, remember that it's safe, it's secure, and it counts. But there are a few things to keep in mind. While the application deadline is October 27th, you should apply now and send your ballot back as early as possible, before November 3rd. When it comes to sending it back, you can drop it in the mail, use a designated drop box, or return it to a satellite election office. To find one or for more information, visit PhiladelphiaVotes.com.
Keeping you informed. As a community service, WURD Radio and the Black Doctors COVID-19 Consortium wants to keep you informed about where you can get no-cost, barrier-free COVID-19 testing this week. Tuesday, October 27th from 4 p.m. till 7 p.m. at Northeast Baptist Church, 4744 Tackawanna Street. Thursday, October 29th from 3 p.m. till 7 p.m. at Enon Tabernacle Baptist Church East, 2800 West Cheltenham Avenue. And Saturday, October 31st from 10 a.m. till 3 p.m. at Hartranft Playground Alliance, 800 West Cumberland Street. Stay informed and stay well with WURD Radio. 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD.
4 years ago, Donald Trump asked Black America a simple question. Asked us, what do you have to lose?
What do you have to lose?
Since then, we've seen a rise in racial violence and white supremacy, an increase in poverty.
You're living in poverty. Your schools are no good. You have no jobs.
While giving tax cuts to the rich. 200,000 dead from COVID, 1 in 5 are Black. We've lost our jobs, our businesses, our dignity, and even our lives. And he, Trump, dares to ask, what the hell do you have to lose?
What the hell do you have to lose?
Well, Mr. President, damn near everything. After 4 years of Trump, ask yourself, Black America, are you better off? Vote for change.
I'm Joe Biden, candidate for president, and I approve this message.
Paid for by Biden for president.
You're listening to The Source with Andrea Lawful Sanders on WURD Radio. Streaming live on WURDRadio.com and the WURD Radio app.
Welcome back to The Source. Let's see. We have Senator Bob Casey on the line, who serves on 4 Senate committees: Finance, Health, Education, Labor and Pensions, Agriculture, Nutrition and Forestry. And he's on today to discuss the Accessible Voting Act and why it is needed, and share resources on how to find important voting information so voters can be prepared for the elections. Good afternoon, sir.
Andrea, thank you, and I'm sorry that I'm late, and that's not the staff of not the fault of anyone but me. I can't put that on my staff. I just got my time mixed up, and I got held up on a call, so that's my fault.
No worries. I mean, we're really close to the election, and all sorts of things are happening right now, so I can only imagine. Can you tell us about your Accessible Voting Act, sir, and what it is about?
Yeah, I mean, this is a kind of piece or a kind of legislation, a bill that tries to deal with an issue that doesn't get a lot of attention, and that's the issue of how people with disabilities vote, and what are the barriers in their way, what are the problems in that context. We've spent some time, not nearly enough time, on the Voting Rights Act, and the fact that the Congress for 10 years now hasn't been able to get that done to remedy the problems with a terrible Supreme Court case on voting rights, and all the barriers that so many Americans face, especially folks who live in communities of color. And another problem which gets very little attention is the barriers in the way of people with disabilities. Just to give an example of how bad the problem is, the GAO, which is one of those organizations in Washington that takes a close look at policy, reviewed this a couple of years ago, and they focused on the year 2016 as the most recent year, but they found that only 17% of polling places would be considered fully accessible in the year 2016.
Oh, wow.
Now, that's a high bar because it talks about, combined architectural and voting booth access deficiencies. But even when you separate them, it's still it's still too high a number. So that's part of the context of what we're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
And it's only recently that a lot of levels of government have focused on the needs of both people with disabilities voting and seniors voting. So this particular bill would focus in a very substantial way on trying to remedy that problem.
Mm-hmm.
And it's one of several things that we've got to do.
Right.
A couple of things it would do. First, it would establish an office of accessibility within the commission in the federal government, the Election Assistance Commission, that would oversee and support state efforts.
Mm-hmm.
It would support a new grant program. It would also provide up-to-date voting information and resources,
right,
so that folks have information
mm-hmm.
About how to register to vote, how to cast an absentee ballot, or
yes,
we call them now mail-in ballots.
Mm-hmm.
So it would do a number of things to help. But this is one of those issues that, unfortunately, is not likely to pass between now and the end of the year, and it has to be a priority for 2021.
Yeah, I hope prayerfully, because as I was talking to you, I thought of my voting place, and we have to go up a bunch of steps, open a door, go in some more steps. There is no accessible way for someone with disabilities to get into that. That is insane. And didn't think about it because I'm not someone with a disability, right? What important voting information do you have? What resources you have about important voting information so voters can be prepared? Because in Montgomery County specifically, I mean, Philadelphia has been inundating us. If you have heard recently, 90% of registered voters in Philadelphia are registered to vote. Are coming out to vote, and I'm so heartened by that number. What other resources do you have for people to access, sir, leading up to the election?
Well, and now we're talking about everybody, and I think the key thing is to make sure that people have a place to go. The Department of State, that's obviously part of state government in Harrisburg, provides voter information on their website. That website is votespa.com, VOTESPA, all one word, votespa.com. And they've got a hotline as well. So you can, if you wanted to call instead of going online, the number is 1-877-VOTES-PA.
77-VOTES-PA.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's one way to get the information that you need to vote. I think the good news is that people are finding out the information, and they've already voted early, or they sent in a mail-in ballot, or they're going to a drop box, whatever.
Yeah, and the lines are long. I have been driving past the lines. I've been talking to tons of people around what's happening there. Is there anything else you'd like to add, sir?
Well, I would say this, because today is October 27th. Today is the deadline to request your mail-in ballot, or what some people still refer to as an absentee ballot. And obviously any voter can apply for that mail-in ballot. I guess because of some of the concerns about the post office, if you request your mail-in ballot now, I think probably the best thing to do is, after you've filled it out, the ballot, after you put it in the secrecy envelope and then put it in the larger envelope and filled out a few, very limited information on the outer envelope. Once you've done all that, I think at this stage, I'd go to a drop box.
Yes.
just to be sure.
I agree. Go to a drop box.
I mean, the Postal Service is doing yeoman's work. These people are working so hard, but they haven't had good leadership in Washington, and that's led to some problems. So I think if someone requests today, to request it is, the deadline is today. If you request it today and you get it the next few days, I would fill it out and just put it in a drop box.
Right. Can they go to a satellite office and pick up a mail-in ballot?
Yes. And I don't have the location of a satellite office to get.
Will they be able to find it at votespa.com?
Yes, there'll be all that information there.
All right. So that's what you're going to do.
In some counties it's different. Some counties don't have, some have a lot of drop boxes, some have a few drop boxes. Some have early voting, some don't have early voting.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. So then what I would do is send people to votespa.com to see what their options are. And if there are no satellite offices in your county, please go and find, please request it today, mail-in ballot online, and hope that it gets to you by November 3rd. Okay?
Yes.
All right, sir. Well, thank you so much. I know you're incredibly busy. You're not up for election this year, are you?
No, I'm not.
Yes.
I get a year when I can just help
people. Yes, because I remember seeing you.
Others.
Yes, yes. All right, sir. Well, thank you so much for calling in, Senator Bob Casey. We look forward to hearing from you soon, and I would like to see highlights from Election Day. Maybe if we can call you and talk to you then, too, about what's happening at the state level, that would be great, because I'm spending the entire day talking to people who are out and about. Is that all right?
Well, I'll talk to our press people to try to set that up for Election Day. Thank you.
Yes, you're quite welcome. You have a good afternoon, okay?
Same to you.
All right, sir. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
You are listening to The Source, 96.1 FM, 900 AM, streaming live on WURDradio.com. Follow us on all social media platforms at onWURD. 215-634-8065 is the number to call in. We will be right back after these messages.
This is not a fad for us. We will not resume our regular programming when things die down. We're not black to help our bottom line or because it's politically correct. We're not joining a fight. This has been our fight, our message, our people. Black lives have always mattered here. We are undeniably, indefatigably, unapologetically, permanently Black Talk Media. WURD.
Her great-great-grandfather was former KKK Grand Dragon Edmund Pettus. Her great-grandfather was famed Harlem Renaissance poet Arna Bontemps. So writing and revolution are in her blood. On Wednesday, October 28th at 7:30 p.m., join in a riveting virtual conversation with educator and legacy provocateur Carolyn Randall Williams. After garnering international acclaim for her recent New York Times essay, You Want a Confederate Monument? My Body is a Confederate Monument. Williams will share much more about her role in the movement to dismantle race and gender-based violence through the power of her voice and her words. Don't miss what is sure to be an amazing virtual event on Wednesday, October 28th at 7:30 p.m. My Body is a Monument with Carolyn Randall Williams. This is a free event, but registration is required. Visit firstpersonarts.org's events page to reserve your spot today. Presented by the Philadelphia Department of Behavioral Health Engaging Males of Color Initiative and First Person Arts.
Hey, Word family. Our friends at Amoroso's Baking Company are hiring right now. Amoroso's has been baking the delicious bread in our community for over 100 years, and they want you to join their team today. The old and the young love Amoroso's, and they are hiring right now. Check it out. They offer fair pay and provide health, dental, and prescription plans after 90 days employment. Call 856-754-0355 or visit amorososbaking.com for details.
He's back.
This is Reverend Al Sharpton.
Keeping it real with the Reverend Al Sharpton.
In times like these, we have to stay connected.
At a brand new time, Monday through Thursday, 9 p.m. till midnight.
I'm excited that Keeping It Real returns to WURD.
Keeping it real with the Reverend Al Sharpton. Monday through Thursday, 9 p.m. till midnight. This program is pre-recorded. No phone calls, please.
Keep it locked to WURD 96.1 FM, 900 AM, WURDradio.com.
4 years ago, Donald Trump asked Black America a simple question. Asked us, what do you have to lose?
What do you have to lose?
Since then, we've seen a rise in racial violence and white supremacy, an increase in poverty.
You're living in poverty. Your schools are no good. You have no jobs.
While giving tax cuts to the rich. 200,000 dead from COVID, 1 in 5 are Black. We've lost our jobs, our businesses, our dignity, and even our lives. And he, Trump, dares to ask, what the hell do you have to lose?
What the hell do you have to lose?
Well, Mr. President, damn near everything. After 4 years of Trump, ask yourself, Black America, are you better off? Vote for change.
I'm Joe Biden, candidate for president, and I approve this message.
Paid for by Biden for president.
This is WURD Radio. 96.1 FM. And 900 AM WURD Philadelphia. Black Talk Media.
You're listening to The Source with Andrea Lawful Sanders on WURD Radio. Streaming live on WURDradio.com and the WURD Radio app.
Welcome back to The Source. Before we go to our next guest, I'm going to take the callers because they've been waiting so patiently. Larry from Philly, line 1. Are you there, Larry?
Yes, I'm here.
How are you, sir? What's going on?
Oh, I'm doing really good. You know, I like the conversations that we are having because you have to have a conversation first to start anything.
Yes.
But a lot of things, and what you said about the homeroom charter book is like a lot of people in Philadelphia don't even know about the homeroom charter book.
Yes.
And a lot of people in Philadelphia don't even know about the Constitution.
Right.
So it's like you got to teach first before you can make a decision.
Yes.
Because we lack in a lot of things that we are knowledge that we don't even have knowledge about.
Yep.
So we got to come together first. Sorry, that's my baby in the background.
Oh, that's all
We
right.
got to come together first, and it's like I said, as far as structural.
Mm-hmm.
If you look in each neighborhood, our kids are saying that we don't own nothing.
Yeah.
So our money is not generating back into our community. So how can you fight something without money? So
Right.
therefore, when you ask for something, then okay, they give it to you. What you going to do then?
Right.
So what is your plan? Like, we don't even have a plan. And we waiting on people to give us stuff. You can't keep waiting on for somebody to give you something. That's never going to change. So we get back in the same route over and over and over again. And it's always going to repeat itself.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
So we got to change ourselves first. And this, like they said, with the police brutality, like you said, you was about to teach them, they have to know that you got to go out and vote. You got to put pressure on these state representatives. These state representatives write the law for them because the office is supposed to work for you.
Yeah. Agreed. Thank you so much, Larry. I appreciate your calling in.
Well,
and hug that baby for me.
All right.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Oh, Lord. Stripping to the polls. Maurice.
Mother.
Listen, if you hang up on me again, bang, say goodbye, mother, when you finish talking to me, okay?
I got so excited I passed out.
You got, is that the excuse you're using today? You got.
Look, how was you able to get Casey on your radio station, on your show?
I don't know. I'm cute.
I want to tell you something. I listen to every show, and I've been doing it since the beginning of this show. If I ain't got an earpiece in when I'm talking, and you are the only one to bring in the heavy hitter like Casey, and I'm trying to figure out what is wrong with everybody else.
So, you know Maurice, let me say this to you.
Yeah.
I lived in Montgomery County for almost 30 years. Many of them know mother. And when I say they know mother, I haven't sat in rooms with them and kikied and kaka'd, but they know me as a vociferous voice for young people and a civil rights activist. I've always been that way, right? And they also know that my word is bond. So if I say XYZ, 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 they can take it to the bank that XYZ is going to happen. They also are quite aware that they're never going to call over here and I'm going to kowtow and do all the crazy things. I'm asking the hard questions, right? I will do it with kindness. I will leave them with their dignity, but I'm going to ask the hard questions. So that's it in a nutshell. I just got an email that Congresswoman Madeline Dean is trying to figure out a way to get onto my show on Thursday. So that's, I mean, I look forward to having those conversations. They all know, so that maybe that's it. And the ones who understand, I just moved into Philly, so the ones who probably aren't very accustomed to me, they probably should call over to Montgomery County so they can drop a dime, so they can understand.
Look, Mother, when I was working out at Gradyford, I was up there in Phoenixville, Douglas, Royford, all them counties up there, Pottstown, Norristown. And what I'm trying to tell you is people from them counties, the black people, are listening to this station. I don't understand. I don't talk to other hosts. I ain't going to put their names out there. I tell them to reach out to those people because a lot of those people grow up around a bunch of white people all the time. And they don't understand that there's actually a black station out there that have their interest. Now, let's go back to this shooting right now. See, when I worked at Gradyford, we used to have a guy coming at us at least once a month with a knife. And what we did, now, we don't have any guns in the jail. We don't have any nightsticks in the jail. You know, an incident like that, if I was still a young guy, I would have just went and got a bucket of water and threw it on.
Mm-hmm.
That would have distracted them, then we would have tackled them.
Mm-hmm.
But see, the cops here are not trained properly, and the ones that come out, they don't understand Philadelphians. They don't know what they're doing.
Yes.
See, the first thing you ever notice, every cop, first thing they do is go for their gun.
Yep.
They have stun shields, they have batons, they have chemical agents, they have not only stun baton devices, but they also have stun pistols. They have all this equipment. Why aren't they taught to defuse the situation? The gun is the last thing
The last resort, absolutely.
The last results. But see, but the problem is, it's not the officers. This comes from the top. People, you keep going to the bottom level. When you're in a restaurant, you don't get complaint to the employee, you get the manager out there, am I right? So this comes from the mayor down. Where is the memo out? You know how the things are going in the world. When you come up to these situations, it would have been better if they called the fire department and they hosed him down. See, this is the thing. I'm not a college student. I don't have a degree in nothing. I'm talking about common sense. She would have been better. The mother would have called to the corner boys on the corner, get my son. They probably would have hit him in the head with a trash can and threw him in the house.
Yep, come on. But he would have been alive, Maurice.
Right, and first of all, why was it so many shots?
Right, yeah.
I mean, you know what it sound like on the radio to me? Because I'm
firecrackers?
No, it sounded like popcorn. That's how much it was popping. And I was like, what is going on? They could have killed an innocent person out there. See, they don't value our lives, and we got to understand that. They don't value black life. The only times some of these cops only deal with black people is when they go to work. When they go back home, most of them probably don't even live in the city no more.
They don't.
They don't. And that's the problem. I think Ramsey started that, and also the other part is one time Ramsey wanted them to have a college degree. When you're in the streets, college degree ain't gonna do nothing for you. You got to know the streets. I don't have a college. You know what? You know what the education listing was for to be a guard at Gradeford? An 8th grade education.
Yes, I know.
That was on the application.
I know.
Now a lot of them guys have moved on. They're lieutenants. They're big times in their county. So we can't keep going to the bottom. And as far as the violence, listen. All you're doing is helping Trump.
Yeah.
You're helping Trump. You guys going now. You know who these guys are that's doing this nonsense.
Yes.
Please, people.
Yes.
Turn them in.
And here's the other thing, Maurice, and I literally have got to get to my guests because they're sitting here listening to us. And to the guests who were listening, we're talking about Walter Wallace Jr., who was gunned down yesterday by Philadelphia police officers. He had a mental health episode. His mother called the officers for help, and he ended up being shot 15 times right in front of his mother, and he's died. Since then, Philadelphia has erupted into disbelief and violence and anger. And so we're trying to stay focused around what we can do to shift and change our narratives here. And so the guest, the caller, Maurice, is talking about some of the things that could be done, some of the options police officers have before they resort to putting a gun and shooting someone 15 times in broad daylight in front of a whole neighborhood.
In front of his family.
Yes.
Let's get that straight. In front of his family. So that shows you that they don't have any concern. So stop all this with these mid-levels or these phony politicians running out like they care. The mayor, we didn't elect the commissioner. She's handpicked by the mayor. So she answers to the mayor. She doesn't answer to us. Let's get that straight. She's following orders. So you want to protest somebody, we should be down at City Hall and not at a police station.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Maurice. Thank you so much. Woody, line 2.
Well, I know I don't get much time with you, but I try to take whatever I can get when I can get it. And I'm not going to be on long because you do have a guest. And the brother Maurice was hitting the ball on the head there.
Yes, he was.
Because he has experience being inside. He said he only, it only covers the 8th grade to become, have that occupation that he had, a prison guard. However, It's what's inside the prisons. Those are the people without the education. I know I sent you some information pertaining to that, and I will continue to talk about that because that is the reason why we're having every problem we're having. Now, the Brother Casey was on, and he talked about Americans with disabilities. I think one of the biggest disability any American can have is to graduate high school with a diploma as a receipt for educational services never truly rendered. That is a disability because once you get out into the world, back to not being able to pass tests, back to not being able to get jobs, you usually end up where Maurice was working, except you'll be inside, not a prison guard. So that wonderful, that great education, and I'll continue to talk about that as much as I can because I understand and I know that that is the true key to getting us out of this mess. You, as an immigrant who has lived in America, your husband knows what I'm talking about. And I think before I'm done with you, you'll know live what I lived. You see what I'm saying? So I appreciate you. I applaud you for everything you're doing to get to learn. And as much as I can throw you away, I'm going to throw you away. The young man who was talking about all these the women, men are not out there. That young man with that baby on, that let me know that men are taking positions sometimes when women have to go to work. Whatever it takes to get the job done. If the man can't get the job, let the woman get the job. That's teamwork. So I don't want to separate black men from black women. We're together, and I have to look at it from that perspective. That mother that was out there, she meant business. She was trying to save her son's life. But I know, without a doubt, that the majority of people that you're seeing out there that are giving these problems do not have a good 1 to 5th grade education. We got to start working on that, mother. I love you, I love you, I love you, but we got to start working on that. That office for non-immigrants, children of former chattel slaves living in America today must happen. LGBT have their office, and the immigrants have their office, and many other offices that are in City Hall. That office needs to be in City Hall. It needs to speak for the children of those former chattel slaves that have been damaged and left disability, a great disability, not the ability to be able to read.
Thank you, Woody. I appreciate you. We'll talk soon, okay? I think you better call Tyrone. Call him. Hey, Tyrone.
Hello, brother.
How are you?
You know, I just thank you for making me smile right now when I know for this moment, you know, people are not smiling. And you know, my heart, my prayers and condolences go out to the family. But Maurice, I mean, he is so on point. But I just want to clear up something to let my brother know that, of course, Casey's been on because he ran for office and he ran for re-election. So there's no way he has not. But I know he's been on, definitely been on Charles Ellison's show. But I just wanted to clear that up. But, you know, Mother, right now I know how folks are feeling. But, Mother, we just cannot continue to tear up the community when something goes haywire. We cannot continue to do it. And, Mother, I'm saying that because we got so many folks that say, oh, if we do this, then they would do that. So they would put that in place. So
all right. So here's what I'm going to say, Tyrone. Listen to Mother, okay? There's always going to be a faction of the community that are going to go out there and exercise their right to tear stuff up, right? We could talk until the cows come home. But what we can do, for those of us who are not tearing things up, we can be vigilant and pay attention to what's happening. We can talk to them when they come out there. Because I did it when we were doing I was like, hey, ho, no, we cannot do this, right? And you also have to pay attention to the white folks who are mingling among us and breaking into the places. And because we saw that too. Cherry Greg and I saw that. They would walk up, break into a store, and then usher the black folks in, right? And so we never held them accountable accountable. And they have been trolling around in our neighborhoods. I saw the Proud Boys drive right past my house on Saturday, right? Just as proud as they want to be. So they're here. They're here in Philadelphia. Philadelphia is key to them. So this is right up their alley, and this is what they want. And so as I am watching Commissioner Outlaw giving a press conference about how many officers were heard, calling in this one and calling in that one, what I need to find out is how is she, see, what I would have loved, because I know she has to do her job. What I would have also loved from her, though, is for her to say, okay, we're going to do this, but we're going to need the community support. What can we do with the community to make sure that we can calm things down? That's what I'm looking for, you know? And so it's just hard. It's hard for us to sit and try and figure out things on our own, especially when we keep asking and we keep asking and we keep knocking on the door. That killing was the 401th killing. 401 people died in this city.
My God. But, Mother, can I just add, you know, when the George incident happened, you remember I called you and said, Mother, you're going to have to say something to our young people.
Yep.
I don't know if you recall that.
Yes.
But let me just, but Mother, God, excuse me, I'm having one of my senior moments. Yes. But the thing that, gosh, help me, Lord.
It's all right, Tyrone. Listen, it's trauma. It's trauma, right? We're trying to hold on to everything. We're trying to create the points. We're trying to do all sorts of things. I try to give you all different kinds of guests every single month, like Deborah Keys Wright and Brooke Gregory, who are going to be coming on next. We try to get our minds in a place where we're elevating our thinking beyond the trauma that we're so steeped in every single day. Every single day, right?
Okay, Mother, I know what it was.
What, honey?
You know, the folks and my brothers and sisters, I ain't trying to downplay or kill anybody's spirit, because you do what you do.
Yes.
But the folks, for me, that's doing the looting and the tearing down are not the ones who will be out there protesting and fighting for justice.
Yes.
They are not going to be
I agree. Did I tell you that's the faction that's going to tear up no matter what we're doing, right?
There you go.
Yep.
So we're on the same page. Thank you, Mother.
Oh, we always on the same page. Love you too. All right. Okay, bye-bye, honey. Bye-bye. There is something that I wanted to, and I know I printed it because this is interesting. The woman, the co-founder of the Black Lives Movement, the FBI showed up at her door and said, you are being targeted for an assassination by one of these hate groups. Craziness. I'm going to find that and share it with you all. But let me get, and the last two people that are on the line, just hold on for me, please. I got to get our guests on. They've been waiting now for a good 17 minutes. So Deborah Keys Wright and Brooke Gregory. Deborah Keys is on to discuss today the crisis of anti-Black racism in schools persisting across generations, and she's joined by Brooke Gregory, the Vice President of Courageous Conversation from the Pacific Educational Group. Ladies, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Thank you for having us.
As you can see, Philadelphia has erupted once again.
Right.
Once again.
Oh,
once again.
Yeah.
Mother watched her son, who was mentally challenged. She called the cops for help. And by the time I left this radio station at 4 o'clock yesterday afternoon and made it to my front door, he had been shot and killed in the streets in front of his mother 15 times by 2 police officers who said they didn't have tasers on them, they didn't have pepper spray, they didn't have none of those things. And they did it in front of a crowded community of people who watched all of this unfold. I have spent the entire afternoon discussing this. It's traumatizing.
It is. It really is.
So
it really is.
You are talking about the crisis of anti-Black. I don't even want to know. What is anti-Black racism? Help my Holy Ghost. Just help Mother.
Jump on in there, Brooke. Tell her, because you're going to talk about the majority of it. What would you call it?
Yeah, well, what I would say is we're all familiar with the term racism, and that term can span across racial groups. But the emphasis on anti-Black racism is really elevating that sense, and frankly, it's the segue from the trauma you just talked about. It's the dehumanization that has been attached to Blackness, and that is rooted generationally back to 1619, right? So as we talk about racism at its core in this country and its tentacles to how it is systemic. So again, sending love and prayers to Mr. Wallace's family. I mean, I don't want to just pass over that.
Yes.
But part of the connection between what we're talking about and what happens in his circumstance and in his tragedy is that if you are not viewed as valuable, your life does not have value. You have been stripped of humanity because of the color of your skin. It is easier to treat you in an expendable way. And so whether that is done through law enforcement or
an educational system,
it is, the root is the same. The seed is the same. And that is that the closer you are to the darkest skin, the more your life is in danger in this country. And it's in danger educationally, it's in danger in terms of your physical being, it's in danger spiritually. And that's what anti-Black racism is really hitting on, is that element that says, yes, racism can be about the treatment of other peoples. Certainly there's realities in indigenous communities and Asian communities and Latino communities that are real. And yet, the common factor in this country is that this country is structured and founded on a dehumanization of blackness, and that scale from white to black is the scale we run of privilege related to skin color, and that is under all of the systems of our society, and that doesn't change. That sense of permanence won't change until we have a sense of humanity restored to blackness, and that's what it's really about.
Absolutely.
Listen, wait, Deborah. I just wrote down the closest you are to the darkest skin, your life is in danger in this country. The dehumanization of blackness. I'm going to take a quick break so that we can keep talking straight on through, because this is woof. You are listening to The Source, 96.1 FM, 900 AM, streaming live on WURDradio.com. Follow us on all social media platforms at onWURD. 215-634-8065 is the number to call in. We will be right back after these messages.
There's a pressing need to strengthen pathways to better jobs in communities of color. That's why Bank of America is investing $1 billion to advance racial equality and economic opportunity.
I'm Jim Dever, Greater Philadelphia Market President for Bank of America. We've partnered with Coded by Kids to connect people to new skills and employment opportunities. It's just one way we're taking action in Greater Philadelphia right now.
Bank of America N.A., member FDIC, equal credit opportunity lender.
4 years ago, Donald Trump asked Black America a simple question. Asked us, what do you have to lose?
What do you have to lose?
Since then, we've seen a rise in racial violence and white supremacy, an increase in poverty.
You're living in poverty. Your schools are no good. You have no jobs.
While giving tax cuts to the rich. 200,000 dead from COVID, 1 in 5 are Black. We've lost our jobs, our businesses, our dignity, and even our lives. And he, Trump, dares to ask, what the hell do you have to lose?
What the hell do you have to lose?
Well, Mr. President, damn near everything. After 4 years of Trump, ask yourself, Black America, are you better off? Vote for change.
I'm Joe Biden, candidate for president, and I approve this message.
Paid for by Biden for president.
WURD Radio presents the following information to help you navigate the upcoming election.
This is Charles Ellison, host of Reality Check on WURD. More than 2/3 of all poll workers are 61 years of age or older. That's created a serious poll worker shortage, as older poll workers are understandably nervous about health risks during pandemic. If you or someone you know under the age of 40 is looking for part-time work and is interested in contributing to their community, sign up to be a poll worker today. In Pennsylvania, go to votespa.com, click on Be a Poll Worker, and complete an application. Keep following us at onWURD on Twitter, facebook.com/forward, and #WordOnPolitics for constant updates on election 2020. And remember, vote early.
Stay informed and vote. For more from Charles Ellison, tune in Monday through Thursday, 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. or visit WURDradio.com.
Hi, I'm Kiera Bradford Gray, the Chief Defender of the Defender Association of Philadelphia. I've spent my career helping to reform our criminal justice system by advancing client-centered representation that empowers our communities to be stronger and safer. Our communities are still over-policed and under-resourced. This year, accountability is on the ballot, and we can finally have the community police oversight that we desperately need.
Paid for by Black Vote PA, which is responsible for the content of this advertising. Not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee. www.theelectionisnow.com.
You're listening to The Source with Andrea Lawful Sanders on WURD Radio. Streaming live on WURDradio.com and the WURD Radio app.
Welcome back to The Source. If you are just joining us, I have Deborah Keys Wright and Brooke Gregory on the line to talk about anti-Black racism in schools persisting across generations. Brooke Gregory has over 25 years of experience as an educator, professional mentor, and policy consultant. She has been Executive Director of Student Services and Multicultural Services, Executive Director of High School Education, Assistant Superintendent of Human Resources, Assistant Superintendent of Educational Operations, and Chief of Strategic Initiatives in Cherry Creek Schools. Her over 20 years as an administrator, Brooke provided key leadership in the hiring, advancement, and retention of Black, Latinx, Indigenous, Asian, and multiracial educator. Lord, Brooke and Lord, this is too much for me. Deborah and Brooke, let's continue our conversation. Brooke, you spoke about anti-Black racism in schools is that the closest you are to the darkest skin, your life is in danger in this country, and is the dehumanization of Blackness. And as I listened to you talk, I thought of all those conversations that I've had in school districts around the country. I've thought of all those conversations I've had with school districts locally, where a dark-skinned child is automatically assumed that they can't learn, or they can't go into the honors classes, or they can't take advanced placement. It's a waste of money because they're going to fail it. You know, they can't get a 1 or a 2, and it doesn't make sense for them to get a 3, and you could give that space to someone else. You know, the dehumanization that starts so early that by the time they get to 18 and 19, they have to fight and claw and scrape to get up the courage and the gumption to even go to college. But once they get there, they go all the way to PhD, so many of them.
Right.
You know? And so what advice do you have for school districts and for educators and for school leaders who continue to operate from this lens that's harming Black and brown children?
I'm gonna jump in just real quick, Brooke, before you go ahead. You know, Andrea, as you know, being a former board member, this racism period resides in the school system. We know that, and we have to dismantle this. And especially with what the students are experiencing right now with the social unrest, even though we're in virtual teaching right now, at some point the kids are going to be back in person. And then how is the district, the teaching staff going to be prepared for these students? Number one, they have been traumatized. And number two, they are fed up. They are not going to go back to how it used to be. So, Howard, I'm hoping that teachers are getting prepared for that moment, because it's not ever going to go back to what it used to be. So we have to dismantle these racist practices, any policies that are in place. You know, but as I know, to ensure that anti-Black racism doesn't persist in the school, there's a few things that can be done. Of course, first, you have to call it what it is. No sugarcoating, no skirting around the subject. Call it what it is. And then you have to believe what the Black students are saying, that their voice is extremely powerful, and they're sharing their story. No one can tell their story better than they can. You know, and we have to stop, and this is not only for in the school, this is outside the school system as well. Let's stop challenging or minimizing the statement Black Lives Matter by saying all lives matter. We don't have to say that. We stand right now, at this moment, obviously you don't believe that Black Lives Matter. So we have to remind you. So we don't have to minimize that, and we don't have to apologize for saying it. And then lastly, I say, let's identify and talk about Black excellence in schools. Evaluate the curriculum and make sure that it includes and recognizes the brilliance of Black people, because we do exist. We know that we have created so much. If you would take our hands out of the creation of the innovation, we wouldn't be where we are today as a country. As a country, we wouldn't be there.
And I swear we're resented for it instead of applauded for it.
Absolutely.
And you know how I know we're resented for it? They do everything they can to not mention that we were at the forefront of creating many of the things that has led this country to where it is today.
And so we're going to have to continue to fight. We're used to fighting. We've been fighting our whole life. So why don't put down your gloves now? Now it's so important to save these children, because we have kicked off the wrong generation of students right now, and they've had it. And I'm ready. I'm excited. I can't wait to see, the direction they're going to take us in, because enough is enough. We are all tired of being tired. And just quickly, Andrea, just what was delivered to me today that I ordered, a book called Black Fatigue.
Black Fatigue.
By Mary Frances Winters. A Black author. Is about how racism erodes the mind, the body, and the spirit. And I think that's where we are today. And it was so apropos for it to
pop up today. What's the name of the author?
Her name is Mary Frances.
Mary Frances
Winters.
I got Weathers. See, gotta ask you again.
Winters.
Mary Frances Winters. Black Fatigue. Yeah, it is. My media friends were calling me last night, talking about what was going on in the news and what are we going to do? How are we loving ourselves and helping ourselves through this process? We have seen and experienced so much because we have to carry the news, and so we have to absorb some of it, and then so self-love is crucial. And that's the thing that we tell our Black and brown children. We tell our Black sons, you have achieved, you have gone to college, you've done everything we've told you to do, and you still have to worry, right? We worry about our grandchildren when they're going off to school. I told my husband's son, if you run into an issue where you live in school, don't call anybody else but me. In the name, don't call another soul but me. I'm walking in there with not a smile on my face, with all the laws on my back. And I'm not smiling with any of them, because they will find ways to limit these young people and their minds. And so it's incredible, right? And so the goal is to teach, not just the educators to do better, but to work with families and say to them, all right, these are the tools that you can use to get what you need, right? Beyond the screaming and the ranting, because I never walk in there screaming and rant. I sit down, tell them my name, told them to go Google if they need to, and let's deal, right? And we move. When they see that you are serious and that you know the laws, some of them, the majority of them straighten up a little bit. They get offended. And they try to throw out a few acronyms as if you don't know what they are, and you have to bring them back to center. Right? Come on back over here, right? And then you tell them exactly what you need to have happen, and that all this stuff is going to be done in writing, and then you quote law again, right? So this is a per chapter, whatever, from such and such and such. This is what you need to do. This is law. Right? I'm not asking you. It's not a favor to me. I want you to do for this child that you would do for any other child. And so when a parent is struggling to make ends meet, when a parent is, trying to figure out and don't know these things, I was fortunate enough to go take classes and learn about all of this and sit at the governor's level for parental involvement and run for school board and do all those things. But the key that I realized, Deborah and Brooke, was to use the knowledge and impart it to other people. It wasn't for me to keep to myself. Right? And so if we continue to do this, we'll be able to help hundreds of thousands of people as we move forward. Man, Brooke, talk to me, because, Black anti-racism, you just set my name, my teeth, you just made my nerves go on edge.
Right. Well, and that's the seriousness of considering the condition of our children. You know, to me, there's always the question of the system is broken, but I try to reframe that into what if, in fact, the system isn't broken and it's functioning exactly as intended?
Yes.
And in fact, its function was to minimize the humanity of black and brown children. And so that is a tougher question to deal with, because then you get into that historical piece of thinking about what was lost as we integrated schools, because part of what was lost is a community around black children that believed in black children. And that's what we're struggling to replace in a system that when we integrated schools, we designed those schools to reinforce white supremacy. And that's why we have continued to see children of color struggle in a system that was not designed for their success. So when they entered that environment, when they left segregated schools and entered into integrated schools, part of what was compromised was that they lost teachers that looked like them, they lost administrators and community members that looked like them, and they lost a system that believed that they were supposed to be successful. So part of the challenge that we're currently in related to this anti-black racism is to really take a step back from the individual actions that we can take, which are all well-intended, but not actually address the system underlying our schooling. And that's the more critical questions that our community is going to have to grapple with, because that change is not going to come from inside a system that reinforces itself.
Yeah, agreed.
You know, it does. It is self-reinforcing. And so we have children thriving and surviving in systems that were not intended for their success.
Yes.
And so the fact that we have many examples of the exception should not stop us from addressing the fact that the majority of children are not set up for success in the system. And so we hold that, you know, the black kid that gets into Harvard as the exception to say, look, it can be done. It should not be like, you know, climbing Mount Everest to get through high school.
Yes.
You know, it should not feel like that. And so the underlying system is the one that I'm most concerned about. And I do believe that as a community, in the same way you were just talking about the way in which we've got to be connected for our children, our communities have to be connected in all of these ways to advocate for a system that is in service to the humanity of our children. That is what will end up causing students to feel engaged and connected and able to be successful. And that's, until we deal with that, we will continue to perpetuate what we're seeing right now.
So what key clues or steps do you have for the average person listening now about how we can connect the communities to make sure that our students get? Do either one of you know Sharif El-Mekki?
No.
No, I don't.
Clutch my pearls. Okay, he's starting some community schools just for black and brown children.
Okay.
And has begun to work nationally and has ricocheted back down into Philadelphia. And they're called, I can't remember the name of the schools now. Sharif, if you're listening, forgive me, because my brain is completely full. But I'm going to connect you guys to him to see what he was doing. He was working for a Mastery Charter School, has been an educator for many, many years, and just got tired of seeing the inequities in the system and began a whole new program, and left the school system and began his own program and brought black and brown teachers with him to create the kinds of school systems that would work for our children. It's amazing to watch. Amazing to watch. So I'm going to connect you guys to him. But give me some tips or some clues for the average community member and for educators who want to do and be better, because I'm not going to assume that they do not, to help young people.
Yeah, what I provide, Deborah, I'll let you come in from that, you know, angle of boards and governance. But from the standpoint of a community member or a parent, I think that the first thing is to avoid isolation. That part of what's happening in our communities is that we're fighting these battles for our children in isolation, meaning I'm fighting for my son next to a neighbor who's fighting for her son, and yet we don't have any collective sense that together we're more powerful for both of our sons. And so part of my suggestion is that we need to find community in our schools. So we need to find other parents of color, other black parents who we can be in community with so that our voices are collective and not individual.
That's right.
It is easy to dismiss us individually. It is hard to dismiss us when we are powerful together. So that's the first thing, is to be in community in these schools. And the second is to not depend on schools to provide that sense of self-esteem and value that our children need. We cannot send our kids to school to get that. We have to do that in our houses of worship, in our community centers, with our elders, in our preschools. And if we are not creating those structures, and you can do what you can, you don't have to have all the money in the world to read to a little kid. You know, that everybody can play a role in the community, but our community is going to have to take some of our own initiative to say, we cannot count on the school to give this to our kids, but it is necessary for their healthy development. And those are the things that I think we identify community by community, and we each do our part to not just, again, take care of our own child. So that's that sort of capitalist sort of that mentality that's rooted in a sense of white supremacy to say, just take care of your own. You know, don't be your brother or sister's keeper. We have to look out for more than just us. We have to look out for the next door. So that's where I start with just forming our own community alliances and looking at how we create the foundation that our kids need to be successful, because they're not going to get it at school.
Brooke, let me tell you something. You just completely verified something that was done several years ago. The then superintendent of the school district that I was in, I formed a parenting group of black and brown parents, and it grew. And we were able to join committees in different parts of the school district. You know, we held family nights with the children, help other families in different schools, until the point, I think it was Harvard that invited us up to do a whole conversation around it. They were so stunned by what we were able to accomplish. We showed up at a board meeting one night, and the superintendent said, I didn't know there were this many black people in this community. Because our numbers, and we showed up in our pink and brown. And then they began to take us seriously. You don't want to do X, Y, and Z for the children? Don't worry. We will buy the tickets for them to go to the play. We will make sure that they get in to see X, Y, and Z. And we were not putting them in just in front of any old body. We want to make sure that they were culturally ready to do what they needed to do. And all of our children were able to help not just themselves, but other people's children. And 15 to 20 years later, it continues to happen. And it's a conversation I keep saying to families when parents start something. Don't get so caught up in yourself that you forget what you're there for, right? To help others. Even when your children are out of school, what you've created should be able to continue to give and give and give and help others coming behind them. You know, is there anything else you all would like to, because Mike is telling me I got to go to break. Is there anything else you would like to add before I say goodbye to the both of you?
And I will just say quickly, Andrea and Brooke, you hit it. The schools cannot do it all. We have to encourage a lot of things that should happen in the home. But as policymakers for the school board and for the district, they have to make sure that they are laser focused on the inequities that are happening right there in their district, and you have to admit that. And it's not about blaming anyone. It's about we have to stop doing this to our children and make sure we create the culture of learning and learning about who we are, that Black history is just not for 1 month. It is American history. Same with the Native Americans and with the indigenous anyone. We have to make sure that history is taught and that children see themselves represented in the school system that is supposed to educate them. And so that's driven by the policymakers, but they have to believe it before they will implement any policies. And require policies be implemented if they don't believe it. So focusing on the inequities that are happening and admitting it, and have a strategic plan about how are we going to address this, and get your emotions out the way, because it's not about the adults, it's about the children.
Thank you, Deborah Keys Wright and Brooke Gregory. You both, are, as always, have been just wonderful. It's great talking to you. Have a wonderful afternoon, okay?
Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye.
All right. Bye-bye.
You are listening to The Source, 96.1 FM. Weren't they wonderful? They always give such great information. I am writing like crazy over here. 96.1 FM, 900 AM, streaming live on WURDradio.com. Follow us on all social media platforms at onWURD. 215-634-8065 is the number to call in. We will be right back after these messages.
PECO has many ways to help you lower your energy usage and save money at home. Here's one. If your heating and cooling system is more than 20 years old, it may be time for your contractor to replace it with a high-efficiency Energy Star certified model. You'll get a rebate from PECO and save on your monthly electric bill. You'll find a list of new heating and cooling system rebates at peco.com/rebates. Or you can call 1-888-5-PECO-SAVE for all the details. Plus, find instant discounts on smart thermostats and more at peco.com/marketplace. There's free shipping on orders over $49.
Just one more step. You got it.
You're doing great. This is the sound of a nationally ranked top rehabilitation hospital, home to the largest collection of robotics in the United States, where we continually exceed patient expectations. Because no injury is too severe or too minor for our care.
There you go.
This is the sound of success. Moss Rehab. Challenge accepted.
Keeping you informed. As a community service, WURD Radio and the Black Doctors COVID-19 Consortium wants to keep you informed about where you can get no-cost, barrier-free COVID-19 testing this week. Tuesday, October 27th from 4 p.m. till 7 p.m. at Northeast Baptist Church, 4744 Tackawanna Street. Thursday, October 29th from 3 p.m. till 7 p.m. at Enon Tabernacle Baptist Church East, 2800 West Cheltenham Avenue. And Saturday, October 31st from 10 a.m. till 3 p.m. at Hartranft Playground Alliance, 800 West Cumberland Street. Stay informed and stay well with WURD Radio. 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD.
Always Best Care is a great place to work. Flexibility,
leadership, purpose,
great benefits.
There's never a dull moment.
Diversity, inclusion, compasión.
We love our jobs. If you're looking for a great place to work, you can join our compassionate Team Green. You can apply online at teamgreenabc.com or call 267-909-9248.
Teamwork makes the dream work.
COVID-19 impacted a lot of things this year, including regular vaccination appointments. Vaccines help protect you and everyone around you, especially during flu season. Schedule an appointment with your healthcare provider today to make sure you and your children are vaccinated. Vaccines keep us safe, and they work. Skip the flu this year. Get your vaccination today. Let's stay protected together. For more information, visit health.pa.gov, paid for with Pennsylvania taxpayer dollars.
4 years ago, Donald Trump asked Black America a simple question. Asked us, what do you have to lose?
What do you have to lose?
Since then, we've seen a rise in racial violence and white supremacy, an increase in poverty.
You're living in poverty. Your schools are no good. You have no jobs.
While giving tax cuts to the rich. 200,000 dead from COVID, 1 in 5 are Black. We've lost our jobs, our businesses, our dignity, and even our lives. And he, Trump, dares to ask, what the hell do you have to lose?
What the hell do you have to lose?
Well, Mr. President, damn near everything. After 4 years of Trump, ask yourself, Black America, are you better off? Vote for change.
I'm Joe Biden, candidate for president, and I approve this message.
Paid for by Biden for president.
You're listening to The Source with Andrea Lawful Sanders on WURD Radio. Streaming live on WURDradio.com and the WURD Radio app.
Welcome back to The Source. I'm going to end this show with the last two callers, Prince and Youssef. But before I go to them, I want to read two things to you from the Black Information Network. 100 women, this was written by Ryan Shepard yesterday. 100 women from historically Black colleges and universities took part in the Elect Her Summit over the weekend, led by Running Start and Excel Leader. The Elect Her program empowers young women to pursue public office and positions within their schools, students, government. I'm telling you, the Black women are coming out. You all better watch out. I told y'all it was coming. The need for Black women to be involved in politics is greater now than ever. Despite 16 million million black women living in the United States, only 67% of black women are registered to vote. Furthermore, black women make up nearly 8% of the population, but they make up less than 5% of the U.S. House of Representatives and 1% of the U.S. Senate. The lack of black women in collegiate leadership positions is also eye-catching. In 2018, the American Student Government Association found that only 7% of student body presidents were black women. So, hey, it's coming. I keep telling you all. Alicia Garza in National News was the target of an armed white supremacist nabbed by the FBI, again written by Black Information Network, Ryan Shepard again. FBI apprehended the Idaho resident. Gaza was reportedly on a long list of activists and political leaders that was found at the man's home. The FBI visited my house today, she said. They arrested a man in Idaho on weapons charges who they believe was affiliated with white supremacist groups. They found my name on a list in his home alongside others, she tweeted. This is why this president is so dangerous. He's stoking fires he has no intention of controlling. And so, yep, that's where we are. I wanted to get those two pieces out. All right, Youssef, how you doing?
Yes.
All right.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir. How you doing?
Yes, I just wanted to call in to speak on the incident that happened out West Philadelphia.
Yes, sir.
And one of your callers mentioned that the police could have used another way, stating that they could have used the fire department to hose the guy down.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he doesn't remember as far back as I do. I was in the system from 1966 to 2001. And
what?
Yes. Back in 1975, there was a guy they used to call Jumbo.
Mm-hmm.
Jumbo was a big black dude that was, out State Road and Torresville Avenue.
Mm-hmm.
And he got out of prison, and it was in the front cover of the Jet magazine.
Mm-hmm.
Around 1976 or 77. The fire department hosed him down because he had a knife in his hand.
Mm-hmm.
He wasn't nowhere near anybody. He just had standing with a knife in his hand.
Mm-hmm.
They hosed him down, and after they hosed him down, the police beat him to death. That was one incident. Okay? Now, there was another incident on Pelton Avenue in 1978 where the fire department hosed down to move people on Pelton Avenue so they couldn't get out of a basement. Okay? And one police officer was shot in the back, and then when they falsely arrested the adults, they placed the children in child welfare and beat the mess out of them for something they had nothing to do with. So one of those hosing down people, the fire department is part of the police. They all work together. It's called public safety. And they are in cahoots with them. I don't agree with somebody saying you should hold somebody down because all that will do is cause them death. Because all that powerful water, that itself can kill you.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
And then you have another guy that says black people are undereducated. I finished high school and I went to trade school. I've never been able to get a job according to my educational status because of persecution. It's called PERSECUTION. Persecution, I know how to spell it. I'm saying because they don't want certain people working among them that will expose them. Okay? Simple as that. Thank you.
Oh, you're quite welcome, man. Thank you so much. I love you all. I keep saying it. I love you all. I learned so much from you. Prince, you get to end this radio show and you've got 2 whole minutes. Go, Prince.
How are you? Thank you.
I'm good, sir. How are you?
Powerful. I'm great. I wanted to know where the Anthony Williams, Vincent Hughes, Curtis Jones, Derek Clark, Isaiah Thomas, Kenyatta, where are them guys? Like, period.
Yo, Prince, so listen, Prince, a woman called in and she didn't want to talk on the line. She said she wanted me to call out the men, the motorcycle clubs, the Nation of Islam, the NAACP, etc., to protect the community and keep the people out that are only there to destroy stores, etc. We couldn't even get enough black men. When I talked about the Proud Boys driving by my house, Dr. Doreen Laurie came on and said we need black men out here to protect us on election day. Brian Griffin got on and said, yep, I got a group of brothers coming into Pennsylvania. We're going to do it. But for the most part, the brothers were really quiet, like really quiet.
Yeah, I ain't never at a loss for black men. So if you ever call me.
All right, Prince. All right now. Did you send me a Facebook friend request this morning?
I did.
Yeah, so that is you. I thought that was you. Okay. All right now. Careful what you wish for, Prince.
Hey, anybody know me know that ain't one of my problems right
All
there.
right now.
So,
All right.
But one of the things that I am totally upset about is that at this point in time, and we had it over the summer with all this loot and stuff like that, they'd rather watch it on television opposed to being like the Lou Blackwells and Leon Sullivans and Dave Richardson. Just go down there. Because you sat in these boardrooms and you told these white guys who own the Family Dollar and the Dollar Trees or Indians or whatever they are, that it'll be good to put these stores in our neighborhood. You told them that. You told them the economics on it. You gave them the spreadsheet. You sold this hook, line, and sinker. And yet now you too much of a coward to go down there and ask the people, not for the sake that they looting, but for the sake that they on camera, and they're going to look at those cameras later on, and they're going to knock on their doors around Christmas time and incarcerate them.
Yeah.
You know, so why don't you help us help our own community and just go down there? You go to these people to get your vote from them. Go down there and say, hey, can you vote for me? I'm your councilman. I'm your congressman. You know, I'm your senator. So why you just? I'm very upset that they didn't pop up in any kind of way, not a press conference or anything. You know, to say I'm a black male. I'm in this city. I'm a politician, and look, let me stand out here and tell you guys, don't do this. You know, for the better good of this whole city. But you keep posting us nationally, and it's going to be an embarrassment.
Yeah.
It's been an embarrassment, and so I'm only asking for our politicians who keep zooming us. You zooming us out. So you keep saying, you know, public requests by Zoom when all the townships have interaction with their people.
Yes.
Every township outside of Philadelphia still got baseball games, still got in-state interaction with their people, and these politicians are getting paid a political paycheck, and they have no interaction with us. And they want us to come out and vote. You know, it is horrific to see our elderly people in hours for not in line for hours waiting to vote. That is just criminal at best. And I'm going to hang up and listen to you. Thank you.
Oh, thank you so much, man. Prince ended the show and ended it beautifully. We are right. We have to look out for the most vulnerable citizens, and those vulnerable citizens are the ones that are coming out to vote more than anyone else. This ended this segment of The Source with with Mother. I am Andrea Lawful Sanders. Coming up next will be Nick Taliaferro. Thank you, Mike, as always, on the ones and the twos. We are getting out of here and hopefully getting home safely so we can see you again on Thursday at 1 p.m. I am Andrea Lawful Sanders. I will see you when I see you. Goodbye.